takes time, but say, he could post on there, we're working northeast of Braddock right now for 2 weeks, or we're out by Leo's place. You know, to inform people where they are and what's going on. And you could also say, like Terry's saying, please come out and look at this street address. You know, so people have a way to, instead of calling all the time, you can just put on there, hey, this address needs, stretch of road needs to be looked at for our supervisor. So then, because he's gonna be a new guy, he's not gonna know the roads. And that way you could have complaints and also inform the people where you're at, and, you know.
All he has to do is type something up and email it to me, we'll get it on there.
But I mean, that should be up to the
Yep.
road boss, not
Yep.
you, Marcy. I mean,
But we don't let everybody in on the website, I'm just saying, there's just a couple of us that do that.
and not everybody has Facebook either.
Right.
But talking about our, what Jeff said, our blade operators, I think they're doing the absolute best they can. They just got done with my roads out there, you know, after they got done with Braddock, and they did a good job, and now there's no potholes in the road, so it just takes time.
These maintenance guys, or the superintendent, does he take any input from the blade operators?
He's supposed to,
Well, I'm sure he does.
Well, and I know as far as commissioners go, I mean, I've been in contact with every road superintendent we have, at least, I would say once a week on average. There's weeks where we don't talk that much, there's weeks where we talk every day. I don't know what you guys are, I'm sure you're the same way. When I'm out driving at somebody's place and I see something, or a lot of times I even text or call Gar or Justin, I talk to all these guys where I'm like, hey, just when you're in the area. A lot of times it does get done. I mean, it's usually small things like fill a hole in or something, not, hey, we need to go and dig this culvert out. But, you know, I mean, even with the response of how some people have called me and they get gravel a week later, that's circumstantial. I don't demand anybody do anything. What I do is say, hey, when you're in this area, check it out. Or if you're graveling out there, sometimes they are working in that area and I drive by and I'm like, hey, before you leave, you should go another mile down the road. And sometimes it looks like I have that kind of influence, but I mean, I'll admit, I have a couple good stories of times where people have called me to have their road bladed, and I'm like, well, I'll let them know in the morning, or I'll text them later today. And then I'll get a text saying, hey, thanks for sending the blade. And I'm like, it wasn't me. They were already going down your road. If you just would have maybe waited a day, you wouldn't even have to ask. And so there are some circumstances like that where I literally I've taken thanks for stuff I didn't even do on some of those. So it's tough, and it's hard because you can't just keep the guys on the roads all the time. We've already gone through that. If we kept them blading, I think the roads would look great, but we'd have overgrown trees and culverts falling in. That's what happens. It just.
And as far as my neck of the woods, I don't need a blade every week or every 2 weeks. So I've been living with it, twice a year, to where it doesn't have to be that often, but at least show up patiently.
Yeah, I'm not looking for quantity either, I'd like quality.
Well, I guess there's something to consider a part of a plan. We are gonna be discussing our preliminary budget after lunch. That's where, that's where the sausage gets made. Is that the right way to say it? I mean, that's where the decisions get made.
You're out of money to work with.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of the issue. I mean, if we don't crush gravel or haul gravel, we can use that money to do other things with, but then we don't have that additional gravel getting used, which maybe you don't need it that year. And those are decisions we make, I guess, so.
Are you guys pretty good with the gravel pits we have now as far as distance? There for a while we had nothing going. Now finally roll on back in our, geez, we were good, that's probably why we need any gravel pits. They had to go all the way to Strasburg.
What distance is a factor?
Distance is killing us in a lot of ways because your area is actually kind of a gravel desert because they used to be the JT Ranch.
Yep.
You probably got gravel. I mean, the reason why some of these areas, the Westfield one is another one, but the reason why they struggle with gravel is the closest pit's 30 some odd miles away. Yep.
Is there, I guess my next question is, has anybody talked to the Renses about going back that way?
Last I knew, Alex John, when he was commissioner a couple of years ago, I talked to him and they,
Well, they got into it.
it didn't sound like it was gonna be a very friendly situation.
I'm talking now.
Well, not recently, like in the last year or two, no, a couple of years ago.
I would suggest maybe something.
Somebody should talk to me then.
We do prospect for gravel every year, I mean, occasionally, I mean,
That
that
is
is a lot, but.
key area for our western, along the,
Along that
for
ridge.
us, for gravel. I
The
think
core
that's-
is absolutely off limits for gravel.
What's that?
The core. There is gravel down there by the river by JT. That's totally off limits, right?
Never really asked, I guess, but the assumption is it's probably off limits, because,
Because it is away from the water, but it's on core land.
if there's any experience I learned when I worked at the coal mine, you tend not to wanna mine federal land, because they're usually very unfeasible. It's expensive, they got a lot more rules, it's very tough.
Oh, that's what I figured.
It's probably an option, and you might have to just explore it, because desperation, you know, trying to get gravel in certain areas, but.
What is the county offering on gravel to the pits that are out there?
I don't know if we have a set rate, but
50 cents a yard?
it's usually, it's $2 a yard royalty, I think.
Out of pits?
And then whatever it is to crush it, which is anywhere from $6 to $10 a yard we've gotten bids on over the years. We crushed Woolbong pretty reasonable because they were in the area, and that's why we crushed so much, because it was under $6, which is as cheap as we've crushed in a long time. I think we crushed, it was close to $7 down at Vanderhorst plus the royalties, so we paid about $9 a yard.
But the royalty is about $2?
Yep. It's roughly gonna cost you $8 to $10 a yard to crush gravel, and that just gets it on the pile. So, by the time you haul it, you're looking at $12, $14 a yard, I mean, roughly. And usually the people have been signing 10 to 12-year leases with that royalty payment, so that way we don't have to get rid of a pile in 1 year, but, so,
So then what is the thought? There's no gravel.
no.
So what are we gonna do as a county then to keep roads maintained if there's no gravel?
Well, I mean, we've been hiring, this is the second year in a row, we've had a contractor here for well over 2 weeks, we're spending close to $200,000 a year hauling gravel.
Yeah, I know, but the talk is too in the feeling that there's no gravel, we're short on gravel, the distance. Well, that's not gonna get better, is it?
That's all over. You can talk to Knife River and all these outfits, they struggle for gravel.
I used to work for Knife River, and that one comes down to landowner. I did exactly aggregate, I was a gravel crusher, and we had pits that we were trucking from Tuttle all the way to Bismarck because
Right.
we couldn't get the actual material we needed in our Mackenzie pit. There is gravel in areas, but it might not be the gravel that is gonna be perfect for that job, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's actually a great point, because the other issue we're running into is that the northern gravel tends to be a little bit heavier than the southern gravel, like especially down by Cattail at the Vanderhorst pit. So in theory, in the perfect world, the gravel at Cattail should be up in Braddock, and the Braddock gravel should be at Cattail. So in order to make that haul, you're 40 plus miles of load, which even if you do it, even if you just decide you're gonna spend the money, you're just not gonna get the loads in the day that you do when you haul it, and that's,
In close
that's
proximity.
another part of the decision making too, is how much money do you spend to haul heavy gravel to the lighter roads and lighter gravel to the heavy roads. We try and meet in the middle on along 1804 with some of that stuff and try and haul it up 1804, maybe some of that cattail gravel will end up out by Joey's at some point, but then you also have the load restrictions, so you can't do it till June, July, and then so, I mean, that just, I mean, they're all just things that come into play that constantly, you know, dictate the decisions we make,
So
I guess.
then there is gravel in the county. It's just-
Absolutely.
It's just the cost that it takes to get it to where you need it.
It's probably the biggest prohibiting
People
factor.
to have, and for people to give it up,
And the people that get it there.
to give it up too.
Yeah.
Right, but even the gravel we have, the county ourselves, we can really only man 2 trucks if we're not hiring it out. So you have 2 to 3 belly dumps running at any given time, unless, like with Larry's deal, if we can get some farmers that, we're probably gonna have to require a CDL for them to haul for the county, and they're gonna have to have some kind of liability insurance. If they would wanna do that, we would probably entertain bringing on, other help, I mean,
What do the guys like, what do they do with Shabinsky? They're not all Shabinsky trucks.
Are they leased to Shabinsky?
I think
Yeah,
they're
but
independent.
Shabinsky's handling all that.
Shabinsky's handling
Shabinsky's the general, he's taking them under his umbrella, making sure they have liability insurance, they have CDLs.
Exactly,
He's-
but either still.
He's taking that bid and he's handling all that, he takes all the blame if they roll a truck or anything, so.
So maybe he would even take in local guys, Stravinsky.
Well, I think they have enough trucks for what they do, I mean, they got 10 trucks running right now.
Yeah, no, but if we needed more trucks, like if Larry wanted to help and got a few more farmers around the area to help, we got 20 trucks. If Stravinsky will take them under his umbrella somehow, maybe that.
But the Shabinsky's.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to make the same requirements they would for the county, they'll have to have a CDL and they'll have to have some kind of liability insurance, so if they, I mean, if you have guys with CDLs and belly dumps that wanna come in
I'm
and.
saying that if Stravinsky will take our local guys under his umbrella.
You can
I don't know what
make
he does,
changes
how he
later.
works, I have no
Yeah,
idea.
but the county could do the same thing. That's what I mean, if we have guys that are willing to do that, you can do it. It just, you know,
Better have kids.
there's a lot of trucks out in the country that don't have CDLs running them though, that's the thing. I mean, that you have to make sure that you're not just bringing guys on and find out they're underinsured or not insured and don't have the proper licensing, cause that, we have to follow that, even if they don't on their operations, we have to, so.
Yeah, farmers don't get away.
Well, you don't have to have a CDL, right, if you wanna haul gravel from your own pit 5 miles away, you don't need a CDL, but if you wanna do it for the county, you need a CDL.
You gotta follow the rules.
So,
I wanna say too, the blade guys, I mean, I think they're all good. I mean, I don't know who our guy is up there, but he's one of the best.
Where are you at?
He's the Travis.
Was it Travis?
Yeah, he's done it for 15 years up in Burley. Because whatever was before that was great too. I mean,
Another big meeting?
yeah, I can't complain, they're good blade guys, but it comes down to time.
What I gotta say is, your guys' next super road superintendent, you make sure that you guys, back them up and support them when you get them. Don't treat them like you guys did Skylar, did back them up right from the beginning. Everybody will make a mistake, you know, I had 5 road superintendents too, and every one of them made mistakes. Every one of them did. I made my share of mistakes. So what I'm saying is just, he's gonna make his mistakes wherever you guys get. Just support him, you know, stick behind him a little bit.
all right, well,
I don't think we didn't stick behind him, we stuck behind him kinda, I think, but the people were so unhappy.
Well, it wasn't Skylar's fault. He was only here 2.5 years. Like you said, what was the 2 years before that? We did the flood up in Hazelton and all those soft roads down in Westfield. Then we got behind. And even the fall before that, when Nick was still here, it started, because we had so much rain that year. So it wasn't Skylar's fault. In 2.5 years, the roads don't fall apart in 2.5 years. And all the other, like we were shorthanded, look at, and he was shorthanded too when he started. Then going into that bad winter, we finally got one guy, the third one finally, and we never got full staff till beginning of this year, last fall, last September. Is when he finally got a full staff. And it's all his fault. And with all new guys too, I don't go for that.
Well, people were complaining more than they ever were, that they never.
Yeah, but right, because why? Why were they complaining? Because he didn't have the guys to do what we were supposed to be doing.
Maybe he should have managed it a little bit different then or something, I don't know, I mean.
No. He actually cared and tried hard, he did the best, with the resources he had, he did the best he could. I truly believe that, and he cared about it, just because he's not out visiting with the public, he doesn't have to do that. You follow the rules of the state and the federal rules with the roads, and that's all you can do. You don't have to make friends with everybody, because he's fixing the road or trying to maintain the road.
You know, Donnie, that road west of Hazelton this spring, they had that road looking so nice. And there's a convoy of potato equipment came through one night. It was a half a mile long. I was out because I was going out to the campground, so I got ahead of them. And when they came by the campground, the ground just shook. And when I went back into town, there were soft spots all the way from the 1804 to Hazelton. just from that one big crew coming through, and they don't have, that was when road restrictions were on, they don't have a special use permit or nothing. And they totally destroyed that road, and that's been it's been bad ever since, but now that you guys gravelled it, it's way better again, but that was just that one event, and that crew, they had everything, trucks and big tracks, I don't know where they come from.
And did it at night.
It was at night, and they planted McCrory's field, and then they left.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they come in at night, yeah, and they totally destroyed that
That's what
road.
Stephanie said the same thing, kind of, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
fixed the road and they ruined it in no time, but, yeah.
Well, I'd say for the sake of trying to hold our agenda together and everything, we're probably gonna have to bring this to a close unless anybody's got anything really hard pressed. If not, I'd say thank you
there any
for coming
ideas?
in.
It's been hard pressed since I got in here, I felt.
Any other ideas?
Well, you felt that too, good. Okay. All right, well, we'll adjourn for lunch and, let's come back at 1:15. Everybody's welcome for the budget discussion after lunch if you're willing. We'll adjourn until 1:15. Thank you for coming in. So, call this meeting back to order. What we'll do is, first item on the agenda, we'll bring up, are you Mr. Holzer?
I sure am.
Okay, we're gonna let you go first,
Okay.
because the other stuff could probably take a little while and you shouldn't have to sit here the whole time. So, you're more than welcome to stay as long as you want, but let's get your business out of the way, then you can stay as long as you want.
If you want to chair.
Yeah, if you come up to the microphone and, the floor is yours, sir.
I'm Tony Holzer, and this is Dolores Volk, and we're with the Kidder Emmons County Senior Meals Program, conjugate meals and meals on wheels, things like that. Now, it's been a partnership with Kidder County for quite a number of years. And recently, there was a dispute between the employees here and Kidder County. And they simply cut off services Wednesday, the last day of July.
Who did?
Without any notice. And
Kidder did.
what's that?
Kidder County did.
Kidder County did, yes. Right now, we're in the midst of trying to figure out, can we do this, go on our own with something like this? Offering the meals and social, social life for the seniors and the Meals on Wheels. Or they have called a meeting and they're asking us to come up with, meet them Thursday. And we're gonna see what's gonna happen. The biggest reason I'm here is because there's tax dollars involved here. And there's a lot of money in the bank that we don't have control of. Kidder County does. So
what's the dispute about? I mean, what's the dispute,
What's
what's
that?
the dispute about? I mean, why?
it's a matter of hours, and they didn't go about it very good. They just slammed it down on them. They didn't even know what was happening until they left, and they looked at the schedule. They were cutting their hours way back. Now that's one thing, and so the employees threatened to walk out. Dolores and I, we're part of Emmons County on that board. We were not notified, nothing. They just shut us down the next day.
So the dispute wasn't over Emmons County at all?
It's employees that work here in Emmons County, yes.
That created this.
But yes, and you can't really say it's all their fault, no. Go ahead, chime in.
The thing is, when they said they want their hours back, they said, no, we're done. And they came and they packed up all the food, they packed up the computer, they packed up the fax machine, the sealer for the Meals on Wheels thing. And they kept saying, well, this is ours, this is ours. It's like, okay, it's Kidder Emmons. And since then, we realized that if it's bought with mill levy money, it should stay here. But they wanna come get the freezers, the stoves, the plates, the trays. They wanna come and get everything that they say is theirs, where when it was under KES, Kidder Emmons Senior Services.
Ours is both.
Oh, that's what I thought, but they kept, I said, well, if it's Kidder and Emmons, and they said, no, it's ours. That's what they kept saying, and it's like, well, what could we do? Tony went and changed the lock, so they couldn't come back and get any more, but they took all the food from the frozen bread to the frozen meals, everything. And that's just the way they ended it, and now they want us to come up for a meeting. But, like he said, there's like $80,000 that we know of that's on savings back there at Steel. And if we wanna go on our own, be ourselves, we have to have money to start it up again, to pay for the food.
Well, that 80,000, that isn't in a joint main, Kidder Emmons.
It's under Kidder Emmons Senior Center, Services, yes. That's what it's listed as on the, it should be anyway, on the savings, as they call certificates, right? Go ahead.
Yes, there's about 120,000 there, but we figure there's a certain amount that should belong to Emmons County, but another thing, excuse me.
You go ahead.
We have talked to the state also on this. We met with them yesterday. Since they met with us, we talked to them about going jointly with Bismarck or Burley County. There's like what we had with KISS before. Unfortunately, it's not the same thing. Emmons County have to would hire the employees and pay for a budget and whatnot. We get reimbursed from Bismarck. Now, the thing is, since we had that meeting, all of a sudden we get a call from Kidder County, they want to meet with us. So it tells me one thing, the state has been talking to them after they got done with us. So we're just going to share that with you fellas, so you know, and the fact that there's tax money involved here.
Yeah. So we don't know what the next step is to make sure that if they don't want to be with us, not that they get money that's coming to Emmons County. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and I know the deadline's close according to Marlis, right? As to,
Well, you got an account here. Do they have an account up there in their bank?
We have no account here.
They got a joint.
not where we're
You
joint,
have a joint account, yeah.
not,
Is that everything with Kidder? I mean, they don't have a separate account for themselves?
They have money in the Hazelton Bank,
yeah,
and there's a bank in First Community Credit, money in that bank,
yeah.
and First Choice, and those two are in Kidder County.
So who's on the notes? There's gotta be is there a president of each county representing the counties for those notes?
There's one president for the board.
Yeah.
It's a board where there are 3 members from Emmons County on it, and 3 members from Kidder County.
Actually.
Well,
there's
you would
5.
think you guys would have had, they would have had a meeting together to discuss if they're, that doesn't even make sense.
Bingo,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Well, you have
No
to-
meeting
both you guys are on
beforehand,
board?
no.
We are on the board, yes.
You have to have more than 2 signatures to get money out.
To get money out, don't you?
Well, we do, but the bad part is hindsight, we made the mistake. We just said, when they elected presidents, vice president and secretary treasurer, well, it's easier to have them up there because they have to sign papers, they have to sign checks, than for us to drive over to do it. So it's their signatures that are on, just on everything, let's put it that way.
But nowadays, you gotta do it on the computer,
Yeah, well,
but it's all, it's
And
behind.
here's what it boils down to. We're gonna go up there, we're gonna try and reason with those folks. It's really important to have that function here in Emmons County for the senior citizens. If we can't reason with those folks, we have to look at starting up ourselves. Now, that takes some money to start up ourselves, okay? Especially if we don't have access to the money that we just talked about. So that's another reason why we're here.
So how many people do you serve in the county?
Daily, out of Linton here, about 50 to 60 people.
Quite a few then. So quite a few of them haven't got their meals now for a while.
Yes, it's about 33 to 35 because it goes up and down for Meals on Wheels. And then it's about 15 to 24 that eat in-house at the senior center.
Okay.
And that's all something that's federally funded also and state funded. But again, you know, somebody's gonna take care of payroll and stuff like that until reimbursements come in from the state.
So how many employees were there?
There were, call it 2.5, okay? That's what we're looking at, yeah.
Do they get gas mileage too, or not? For delivery?
You're talking about the employees?
To deliver meals, do they get gas mileage with that?
That's all strictly volunteer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the donated.
So if it was put here, would you have somebody prepare the meals and all that stuff, or?
If we would take it on ourselves, I think so, yes.
Well, that's where you're saying.
Well, the reason that we combine with Kidder is because I think in order to receive those funds and the state funds and even the mill levies, you have to have basically like a board and some kind of an institution. And Kidder already had that, and that's why we combined with them. Like, you can't just have individuals receiving this money and preparing Meals on Wheels. It has to be some kind of an entity, you know? And so that's why we combined with Kidder though. So I mean, like, to your question, like, what they're basically saying is that Emmons County would do it, they would have to form like the Emmons County Meals on Wheels and have another board that, I mean, most likely we would appoint, and we would have to fund it and hire people, and just like the food pantry or any of those other type, you know, you can't just have like a group of volunteers can work for the board, but you can't just have a bunch of people take it. It has to be an entity that you can feasibly give funds to, right? You can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Well, what kind of money was allocated from the county to the Meals on Wheels when it started?
There's a meal levy of a half a meal that was voted on years and years ago.
So about 20,000.
It comes to roughly about 40,000.
40 grand.
And then the state matches that, right?
No, you guys don't get a half a meal, so a half a meal is like 21,000.
Okay.
The 1 mil total, because half of that mil goes to transit, right?
Right.
So the South Central
So
Transit
they
gets half
give
a
up-
mil, and the Meals on Wheels program gets half a mil.
And then the state matches that
Yes.
meal of 87%, so you would get half of that also would get from the state.
Let me interrupt you there. When you talk about submitting reports to the federal government and state government, Bismarck or Burley County would do that for us if we would go on our own, but they take a little bit of a fee for doing that, but they would do that, and it would be good for them to do it because that takes another full-time person just to do that.
Probably be safer that way too.
Is the Kidder does that for you guys right now, right?
What's that?
Kidder does that all for you guys right now?
They do all that administrative work, yeah. We're just on a board that they're supposed to seek and discuss things.
Right.
And they kind of missed that part right now, this last time here, yeah.
Well, do they have documentation to support when they took all this
You know,
equipment
we
and all these?
We have to keep asking for the, you know, we're newer, we weren't there at the beginning. And we keep asking for the, call it contract, whatever you want to call it. And they won't give it to us. They say that Linton should have one too, but you know, it's been changed.
This transition.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, we can't get it from them.
What can I say? Maybe somebody that wears a certain kind of hat, like a lawyer, should be doing that. Asking for those agreements, you get what I mean?
Well, I guess the only thing I would say is how many people are on your board?
On the kid,
On the kid.
okay, there's
Total.
8,
How many? 8?
8. 3 from us and then there's 5 from them. 5 and there's 5.
Cause I mean, my curious question would be, they would need some kind of a quorum and a vote to do any of the stuff they did otherwise.
Exactly.
Whether it's state law or their own
Exactly.
bylaws, so my assumption is they had a Kidder County meeting and developed a quorum.
They did
and
not.
this.
They did
Did
not.
not.
So they didn't even,
There's one board member from Kidder County that's sympathetic towards our cause,
yeah,
and they were not called.
cause I mean, that's, I mean, without sounding like a lawyer, I mean, it's starting to sound like violation of open meetings and records, if that's true, you know, which is one issue, and then the other thing, so you're saying they wanna have a meeting with you on Thursday
Yes,
in
yes,
Steele?
yes,
What time is that meeting?
1:30.
It's a terrible time to have a meeting, okay, cause, okay,
Would you like to attend?
well, I'm gonna be in Tappan. I will actually be in Kidder County, so that's why I was entertaining the idea of showing up in a fluorescent shirt and probably pretty dirty, might be a little intimidating, but I have some questions, cause that to me is not, it's not the proper way to do business. If you're gonna be in partnership with somebody like this, then at least if they're gonna cut ties, then this isn't, if even half of what you're saying is true, it's not right. That's just not the way to do it, and especially, I mean, a $500,000 is a $500,000, it's $20,000 a year, and whether or not that paid for materials, or that paid for food, or if they're trying to say that they didn't pay for equipment out of that fund, they paid it out of their own. Why station it in Linton, and if you're paying for it with your own county tax dollars? I mean, I don't like any of that, the way it sounds. I mean, usually it's like, if you're gonna do anything, you'd make Emmons County pay for that and put it in their building, and then sort of claim that it's theirs, and that's, none of that sounds right at all. I mean, it borderline sounds criminal.
Talking,
What it sounds like is like a knee-jerk reaction by one or two individuals
Yeah.
that initiated this, and now they're trying to pull back from this a little bit, realizing or being advised, you shouldn't have done it that way.
I'm just saying, from what I've heard here, I mean,
That's totally.
that doesn't, forget moral side of it, it sounds illegal, so it doesn't sound right at all, but, it'd be good to get to the bottom of it.
in talking to past officers with the senior club and whatnot, it's been a rocky road for many, many years with Kidder County.
I am aware of
Us
that.
with
I mean,
Kidder.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
How many years have they been together?
I
How
think
many years have we been? 2011?
It's from the
2010?
beginning, from the beginning when this was voted on, I think.
Yeah. I don't even remember.
10, 15 years? I
Well, that
wish.
mill levy was in place before I came, so, and I came in '07, so.
In 7?
Where were we before that?
Okay,
Well, there probably wasn't a meal.
Probably wasn't a meal.
Right, I mean, the whole reason is they wanted to create it, found out that in order to fund it, you have to do all these things, and we just went, oh, Kidder County has one, and we combined with Kidder. I would say that's the most
yeah,
obvious way to do it rather than create our own, because it's been brought up before about Emmons County doing its own. Problem is like the Lytton Senior Center is where everything's always been.
Yep.
They aren't structured properly to receive, like they would have to create like a 501c3 or whatever
Don't they
number
have
to, they
it's
can't.
for the senior club,
So
not for
the seniors
meal.
couldn't actually do it, like they wanted to do it, but they would have to like restructure or create a whole new entity to be able to receive taxpayer funds, and that's probably why it was easier to just combine with another county, so.
It says in 1995, Emmons County joined the service, which
Wow.
when they became Kidder Emmons Senior Center, 1995.
I find it very hard to believe that they segregated funds for 30 years and were able to pick and choose what they bought.
Yeah.
That's a long time of blending funds to say that they own a specific item, that doesn't sound right at
And
all.
before
I think
that,
they're nervous, that's why they're calling.
I would be.
Well, especially after we meet with the state yesterday and all of a sudden they're calling us, yeah.
Yeah. So did you ever reach out to McIntosh?
No, we haven't, because that gets worked out of Valley City, and McIntosh has a 3-day contract. In other words, they serve meals for 3 days a week.
Right.
Linton and Kidder County
serve it every?
Serve 5 days a week.
Okay, okay.
Well, just Steele serves 5 days. I don't think the other two sites.
That's right.
The
You're
other
right.
two sites in Kidder only serve 3 days.
Okay. If we would go on our own, we would have to work with Burley County some.
Yeah.
So they work with the federal and the state government.
You'd probably form your own entity, but then work with them on specific details that you couldn't handle,
Yes.
which makes sense, I mean.
And again, depending on the funds, there's startup funds involved too, you know, so.
Well, I mean, one thing about it, we're already contributing some funds, so it's, I mean, I don't know if it'd be enough, but at least, it's not like we're not paying for any of it, it'd be a whole new thing, so it just depends on how to, I mean, that would be the next thing, I mean, this isn't the first time I've heard complaints with Kidder and Emmons, you know, the fairness of it and who gets what and everything, so it's maybe not a bad idea to part ties, but I'm very curious about their idea of what they thought was fair, and then also, if I remember right,
Well, like.
is what was something, didn't we have something that happened?
Well,
And we had to disperse funds or something, like something broke up, or what were?
no, you have them, give you guys financials every month, and they did that for a while, and they just got.
No, but I'm saying like if something dissolves, didn't we have, what, that was on the water board, wasn't it, where we had, didn't we have like an irrigation committee that dissolved after, no, they didn't ask for like 30 years, and there was like $6,000 in it, that had to get redistributed. And my point is if there's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars through this entity we've been paying taxes into for 30 years.
And if they would depart, some of that money should go to Emmons
I
County.
would 100% say so. Either that, or we've been paying all the bills and they've been stockpiling their money. Either way, that's not right, so. I mean, if there's any, you know, depending on the information that comes forth with this, if there's money in this group and we're dissolving from it, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to access some of that. That's not, there's no way they could prove that that's just their money and that ours has all been allocated. I'd have a hard time believing that.
All the equipment, the food, everything's all theirs.
There's just, here in the center, they claim about 2/3 of that equipment is theirs. That's when I changed the locks, and I'm looking at, with mill levy money and all that, I don't think so, you know? So, it's, I would say 2/3 of it, maybe we should be looking at jointly, but 1/3 of it is Emmons County's. The appliances and things like that.
Well, cause that's where I'm confused, cause it's like, if you're gonna create the avenue that you own all the equipment and we only pay for administrative and food costs or something, that's the argument you're gonna make? They're gonna have to prove that, I mean, there's gotta be, you can't just say that and then take off with stuff and resolve that doesn't, none of that seems right. I mean, there's a lot.
The state would get involved in it.
Well, it sounds like the state might be involved, so. But I mean, if they're doing everything by the book and this is the right way to do it, they gotta present something. They can't just cut ties and raid the senior center and just act like that nobody's gonna do nothing about it. That doesn't sound right. That's.
You know, thus the meeting we're having tomorrow. All of a sudden, that came up after we met with the state.
Maybe they want to
So-
get their
You
efforts.
personally met or you talked to them?
Yes,
You personally, okay.
they were down here at the center yesterday. A representative from Burley County and from North Dakota State.
What department in the state or do you?
I don't know, where's she from?
Health and Human Services.
Okay,
That would sound.
sounds about right.
Her, I'm terrible with names. I remember her first name was Cody, a young lady.
She was.
And the lady from Burley County is Renee Kip.
Yeah. I didn't write the other name behind it, but yeah.
So there's no more Meals on Wheels going on right now? in Emmons?
Here's what happened, what we did, just because these seniors are depending on that, we got together, we called Burley County, we asked them for frozen meals, we brought down 125 frozen meals. We're going to ask again today or tomorrow if more meals are needed. At least they'll have something they can put in the microwave and warm up. But that kind of thing can't go on forever, you know.
So Joe, I'm gonna need some advice from you as far as going forward, what I do with those dollars that are collected for Peter Emmons. We've been sending everything to Kidder, but.
No, I better stay.
We need to get these agreements, copies of the agreements. Do you have copies of any of these agreements? And then I'll have to make an open records request to Kidder County. And how many organizations are there? Is it just one organization, and what is it called?
Just one.
Just one, it's called KISS, K-E-S-S.
What does that stand for?
Kidder Emmons
Seniors.
Senior
Services,
Services.
I think is what it is.
It's one of the terms we told them we need for that meeting is we want to see all these agreements that they never come up with.
Who's the president?
Diane,
What is her name? I don't know her last name. It's a big name.
it's Kaczynski or something like that. We'll get you the spelling.
It starts with a K, yeah. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say her last name.
Tell you what, Joe, I'll get that to you, okay?
Sure. Okay. Well, I think we just have to get the agreements, try to figure out what we agreed to begin with, and then maybe we'll find out some more information tomorrow, or Thursday rather, at that meeting. And we'll just keep going back and forth until we get somewhere on this.
But the biggest thing is, we thought, you gentlemen should be notified what's going on. So,
Well, at this point, I plan on attending that meeting. Where is it?
awesome.
Where's it at in Steel?
At the,
Courthouse?
no,
Emmons?
at their senior
It's-
center.
It's a county building.
Yeah.
It's,
Right beside the VFW hall. You know where that is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's right across, it's right beside it.
Okay, so it's right
the
behind.
credit union. They're right behind the credit union.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know where the VFW is and stuff, so.
Okay,
Okay, cause I'll be working in Tappan that day. I might be late, but,
that's fine.
okay. Cause I'm pretty curious. This doesn't sound right.
That would be
There's
great.
either a lot of missing information or this is a terrible circumstance they're trying to pull here, one or the other, so.
Mhm.
I would definitely like to, check that out.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks for coming in.
thank you for taking us.
1:30. Thursday, right? Or tomorrow?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday. Thursday.
Okay. So I had written down Thursday. Tomorrow I wouldn't be able to make it. Thursday I will.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Yeah, I'm only about 12 miles away. I think I'm gonna make that trek. That's kind of that sounds fishy. That sounds fishy. Okay, back on to, other things that we forwarded before we get on the preliminary budget. One of them was the discussion on Skylar's, vacation benefits time. Sounds like it's 208 hours and change for the vacation. And then you said.
Basically, we're only talking about 8 hours, really.
Right, I guess,
38
my
hours.
opinion on 8 hours, I think I would rather not break the handbook.
Right.
I guess if that's
I
my
just assume
opinion,
pay-
if it's on 8 hours, I
Pay
just.
the 208 to be done.
There was a different scenario where it was like a lot more, but for 8 hours, I don't know if
Yeah,
that's a
that
good
one.
precedent breaker, so.
And then as far as the sick leave, I guess whatever,
20 days,
yeah.
But do you calculate that on like a 10-hour day then, cause they work 4 10s?
8 hours, maybe, 8 hours.
8 hours, so that would be 160 hours. So then that's when you're talking 60 hours of sick leave, but again, sick leave is kind of it's kind of an extra benefit in a way. I mean, I don't really like breaking the handbook unless it was something really extenuating, so I don't know if it's probably the
No, because
best.
you're gonna have other employees that are
Right.
gonna do it too now.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion.
Maybe we shouldn't do that, is what you're saying?
I guess my opinion is I don't think we should probably do anything different than the handbook. That's fine.
I kinda agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, with him, abruptly leaving, if it was 50, 60 hours of vacation that he earned, I feel like that may be a different discussion, since it's 8 hours,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll
no
make-
offense to him, but breaking the handbook, I don't know if that's worth it.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I say, I think we should just be fair, whatever he has got to tell me you should get, and do it that way, but, I mean,
I think the handbook is fair, though, I guess is my, if you wanna know my official position, I think the handbook is fair.
well, if that's what it says in the handbook, that's what we should do.
I think so. I don't know if we really need a motion on it or not, I mean,
Or
just,
no, I
say
guess
just
we don't,
follow the
people did it
handbook.
before. They
Unless
did,
there's
yeah.
somebody in disagreement and they want to make a motion.
Right, I mean, that's fine, but I'm just saying, as far as the need for it, I mean, the handbook says what it says, I think we should probably just
Yeah,
stick to the
just go
handbook.
by with that. Yeah.
I think so. Unless anybody wants to dissent or make a motion, you're more than welcome to. Okay, well then that's handled.
You want to do this, ladies?
Well, no, we can work on the budget. The only other thing to discuss that we had pushed off was gonna be the interview discussion as far as who's gonna be doing the interviewing for the road superintendent. So,
Well, if we don't have it as, don't want it as an open deal, then it comes down to 2 people. And really, me and Donnie shouldn't even be involved in it, so it would be between the 3 of you, really.
I'd say then there's only 2 people left, because I would say my decision-making's been called into question, that's obviously been pretty public, so probably be best if I wasn't a part of it, so.
Yeah, but you still are.
I can still vote on it, because I would imagine the interview committee would give a recommendation, and the board would probably still vote on it. That would be our say on it, I guess, so.
Right, the vote, yeah, it would still come to the board to agree to hire.
And there's a pretty big group last month that doesn't like the way I make decisions on things, that was pretty obvious, so.
I'm pretty green on this though, too.
Well, you've been here 2 years, and you learned a lot. I had to hire road superintendents after 2 years anyway, guys, and everything. I was chairman after year 3, so. No offense, Commissioner Material, you're not that young either. What do you say, green?
Yeah, if you were 22 or something, maybe, but.
So
I
it's settled.
think it's a good idea with this HR person on board.
I would agree, and I think that gives you an element, I mean, if you claim you're green, that's fine, I understand where you're coming from, but
Yeah.
if you're gonna have an HR person, I would suggest they kind of spearhead the interview and ask the questions. I mean, at least the initial questions, and then you guys feed off that. She's more than likely gonna keep you in line as far as any legal maneuvering, questions you should or shouldn't ask. You're in good hands, so I don't think it's gonna be a problem, and if you screw up, everybody will blame you, but it's gonna be fine, I mean, I'm sure. In all seriousness, I'll just say this, I don't think you're gonna get a very good process if you have an open meeting, I just don't.
No.
I don't.
I mean, that's a good thought.
I
think it's great.
I
disagree.
never thought about the open meeting, I just thought everybody involved, but I didn't think about the open.
Having it out in the open
That's
is
the way it was
proper.
last time, it was just open meeting, you know?
But nobody,
It wasn't video.
Right, nobody knew, and you probably put it in the paper, and nobody reads the paper,
Yeah.
so yeah, right, I mean, in the way of
I can see this.
having it on YouTube, if I'm someone who has a job that I maybe even like, but I'm curious about getting a different job, I wouldn't want my bosses to know I'm interviewing. Why are you leaving your job? Well, this.
I know, yeah,
If you wanna do
exactly.
that in private, fine, but I don't think you're gonna get a very good process, and I think it'll limit you on your candidates, I think 2 commissioners and an HR person. As a commissioner, I'm fine with that process and would participate. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I wasn't in there, it's not my fault, like, that's the process we agreed on, and then you stick to it, and that's fine, and I think that's the way to go, and I'm being absolutely genuine. When I've been a part of hiring the last couple road superintendents, a lot of people have agreed or disagreed.
It's
So,
never gonna be perfect.
right, and so I think it would be best if somebody else participated in that process, because maybe I'm not the best at hiring them. I'm gonna admit it, I probably make mistakes like anybody else, so let's get a couple different people in there to do it, and can all share in the blame and the joy.
Yeah, let you guys get your feet wet.
There you go.
Would have been wet.
They've been-
Sweaty,
I
right?
like that ground.
All right, well, that's decided, good.
So it's Dan and Craig?
Yep.
Okay, do you guys have any dates that you want to do it in August? You know, we'll probably, what day, do you wanna do that last week in August, or that
You
was?
said they're due the 19th, that's when they close?
Yeah, you wanna do it, I can call them,
Well, just remember, you got Labor Day rearing up right at the end of that, so you'd wanna do it early in the week, otherwise you're gonna, cause Labor Day weekend is that
they
last
could
week.
even do it the week of the 19th, you know, I could call some applicants.
Yeah,
the week
people are ready.
before, Already set up, if I would get somebody the 19th, I could schedule.
Cause yeah, if you try to do it late in the week on August, you're already, you're starting to mingle with Labor Day weekends.
So are you guys both around the last 2 weeks in August, or?
The
is there
full
any date
last
that
2
is-
weeks?
Yeah, is there any date that doesn't work for you?
I'm open.
You're open, Craig?
I'm open. He's the only one.
Maybe the first part of the week would work the best right now.
Well, the deadline's the 19th, so you don't wanna do it then, you know, how
You
about,
wanna do it the first.
how about like that Wednesday, the 21st?
It'll probably work.
That will work?
Yeah.
And if that date doesn't work for Tanya, what else?
Is that a Wednesday?
That's
Yeah.
on a Wednesday, 21st.
No.
Give me another date.
21's a lucky number, so.
Well, but if
Right,
Tanya
look
can't
at
do
that.
it that day though, how about the next day too?
So you're not that green.
No, no,
He's the only one for social calendar.
yeah. Yeah, I guess we
Yeah,
have to.
Craig's just gotta work, right? That's all, just gotta work.
21st, 22nd,
Okay,
what times?
well, I'll ask Tanya when she can make it
His
down, I'll
social
let
life
you
is
know.
more important than my work life.
I'd like to meet her, just.
You'll meet her that day.
Hey, you can with her all day.
All day, if you know her.
Yeah, yeah.
More than you wanna.
How many applicants do you have?
There was one of them that threw an envelope on my desk, I wasn't there, so, I didn't open it, I don't know who that is.
Oh,
And then I got another one for, equipment maintenance person, for blade operator, got one of those, so what am I supposed to do with those? Deadline, I think, is the 9th.
We'll just keep them on file, I suppose.
Who's gonna interview for those?
We'll wait and see once when the time comes.
Well, let's get
Get the roads.
this road guy in and then
And
see
do
what
that,
happens.
okay.
Yeah, because it's only fair for that road,
Okay,
the new road guy to be involved.
and then who's gonna be the project manager for that project? I have to let World Engineering know.
Donnie raised his hand.
Can John out there, do eyes on? Cause he's works out there and he still does all the paperwork and everything for that now, or not?
Skyler, what's his name's been there the longest, what's his, Carr, hasn't he?
What's that?
Carr's been there the longest, hasn't he?
No, we have Gar's, but
Gar's up
he's-
there.
But then do you want to, you know,
Well, one, Gar's blade operator, I don't know if that'd be the best idea, especially because it's not in his area, and second of all, I did talk to Gar after Skylar put in his request and just asked him if he would fill in the gap like he's done in the past, and he said he'll keep the guys rolling, he'll keep the shop rolling, but he doesn't wanna manage any projects or nothing because of the same thing we just said, it's gonna pull him off his roads and the other projects, so I would say if you're gonna do it in the road department, probably the only one would be John, or it would have to be a commissioner probably, so. Commissioner not named Maker.
Dan has his hand up, I see.
No,
Oh, okay.
why don't you do it, Mac? Why don't you consider it? I don't wanna end up on the dartboard.
Why, cause I'm already there, she was sick for me to do it, that seems a bit unfair.
have to?
No.
No, I guess I would say John would probably be the most logical right now.
That's what I would say. That we would probably have to have some kind of a motion or something just to the official with that project probably, or not.
We could, yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Commissioner Everly makes a motion to appoint John Ibach as the project manager for, I'm sure, some longly numbered project, but the Sanger Lake 88th Street culverts, we'll call it, but I'm sure it's got some CMC-14 plus two. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Holm. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? John is hereby been appointed to the project manager for that project. Okay. The other question that, I don't know, we probably have to talk to John unless you have a number, is what the current, I thought I had a current number on what we spent with the gravel contractor, but that was just something we must have talked about on the phone. So I don't have an actual number.
Okay,
So what I was told was that we were well below the 200,000 threshold, and it was about 25,000 a week, so that's why I told him to give him another week. We'd talk about it at the meeting. So, I mean, I guess the opinion would just be, do we wanna, you know, do like we did last year and go up to that, like 180, 100, you know, if it could buy us another week or two, should we keep doing that?
Yep.
If that's what you wanna do, then you
would.
know, so I think, did John go to some training today, I think, and he told me he wasn't
He was
gonna
in
be
this
here
morning.
because he had some training, had signed up bridge training in like Grafton for like 1 day, so he was gonna be
he
gone.
was in
but
this
He was
morning.
going south when I was going south.
Maybe he didn't go, I don't know, I know he had mentioned it to me a while ago, cause he sent me the budget stuff, and then he said he had some training, and he didn't know if he was gonna go yet or not, but, cause John would have that number, and if we'd know from there, then we could make a, but I mean, I'm of the opinion, we might as well go to like we did last year, get up, you know, close to that limit, you know, where we don't get us in trouble, but if it buys us another 2 or 3 weeks, I'd say we'd be
Exactly.
foolish not to do it, so.
Yep.
Is that kind of the consensus of the board, to just? Okay.
So are they just spot graveling that kind of?
Well, they're just basically, yeah, I mean, there's some spots, I know like in Gar's area, they gravelled like 4 or 5 complete miles, and then they went and, you know, right, and then they would go maybe 10 miles of spot gravel, so they're not spot graveling every bit, but if they can get away, if they can get away with spot graveling, they're doing it, if there's really bad spots, they're hitting pretty hard, so.
Like they said, I was talking to guys that said they're going on some of these hills where it's clay, no more gravel. They're graveling that whole hill up and back down.
Like Terry was
Because
talking,
it's scouring, it'll eventually scour off these hills.
that must be what Terry was talking about too, kind of.
Terry Sayre.
But I know some spots, like you said, there's some spots where they're probably only giving 2 loads of gravel for 4 miles, and
That's
the
all
blade
they give
man's
us.
saying it's probably okay. That might not be totally agreed on, but I mean, they're trying to get the most done they can in the least amount of time, so. But, and I know Skylar did kind of leave him a list of what he was doing as far as, now, whether or not they totally agree with that or not, but he told me that he left them with what he was gonna be doing for the next 2 weeks, so that is the plan that I know of, unless they maybe change it up a little bit. You know, that's where I think Gar and John were just kind of working together and meeting up and asking guys what they thought was best. I know they were trying to stick out of the north area just because they already had the loaders there and they already had a route, and they were kind of, I think whether or not they stay there for 2 more weeks, I don't know, I mean, if that's something we want to get involved in, or, you know, I don't.
I got a call from Brad Stoppler here a couple of days ago. How far east does his right of way go before it's off with that lake there, that slough?
I thought it was only a few hundred feet, like 700 feet is a number sticking in my head on that, but I could be wrong. Cause it was what, was it 2 miles north?
2 miles north from 57.
Right, so from 57th, oh, so off 58th, it was like 2.5.
That's
a section one.
58th is that main road.
Yep, so
That's
2 miles up,
Right.
and then this,
That's maybe a little,
So it's listed as 58th Street up there, north of that slough. How far do we go?
56th Street is what
Or
they call
56th,
it.
yeah.
that's a section line right here.
Right.
I thought we were gonna go to like that wet spot there, right above 56, so it's probably,
Okay, quarter mile.
yeah, somewhere in there.
He called me the other night and said the blade would not come east anymore. It just come straight north and turned around and went back. And that's what the blade operator says, he's not allowed to go any further east.
I think we talked about that before.
We did. And I couldn't recollect how far.
Why was that moved off the section line? Nobody
Well, I'm
knows. It's just
assuming
like, what's
because
this
of
in the bottom?
the giant lake, I'm sure, so.
Yeah, so that isn't recognized as a section line because they had to do what they had to do?
Well, I mean, those are the battles that we're always going through, is there public right of way on that or not? Because if you're deviating off the section line, a lot of times they did create right of way, so if there's something recorded, then, you know, but if there isn't, then.
There's not.
So if there's nothing recorded, I mean, that's where,
That doesn't really seem right though at all, does it?
I mean, it's the conversation we've been having for the last couple months though, I mean, with the miles of road we have, I mean, if you add another quarter mile on all these residences, you're gonna have 1,500 miles of road in this county. I mean, at some point, you gotta draw some kind of a line or.
Well, his deal, he doesn't often complain, I've never heard
No,
from
he
him.
doesn't.
But his deal is he got that house coming in this week. And they want that smoothed out as much as they can, as far as they can get, or he can get. And I think after that, you'll never hear from him again.
Well, I know they were gonna be graveling up there, I think today, but it rained, rained yesterday there, cause they were gonna be, I was told they were gonna be west of the highway on 58th.
Yeah.
So I would assume his main road was gonna get gravelled and then.
Right.
Who does that one? Who blades that?
That would probably be Travis, I
Travis,
think.
yeah,
That's the other one on Hazelton.
right.
This one that was here,
Common
the
sense.
That was Justin's lawn. So Justin goes basically from south of Hazelton all the way down to Linton, from 83 to 1804, out to the river.
Oh, okay.
And then this Travis goes from like Hazelton up to the corner of the county.
Okay.
See, he took some of Gar's on that north side and then they all kind of just,
So this car cross over at all anymore?
I don't know if Gar goes west of 83 anymore now.
Don't we?
Cause I think Travis does now, I think that's
Right.
Travis's,
I think
the way they
Travis,
split that up.
yeah.
Being we're speaking about this, whatever happened, what's his name, Hyde, north of town, did we ever get those easements?
I did get one of them signed, the other one, he hasn't sent it back, so I don't know if he's just not gonna sign it or not.
I think Bonnie signed it, right?
But, yeah, they signed it,
they called
Wangler hasn't signed it. If somebody else knows him, maybe they can deal with getting him signed.
I talked to him, he said he won't sign it.
Well, there you go, he's never signed it
And
then.
I didn't know if he came in with it signed after what he said, because he was in one of those, one of those days.
So,
But I mean, that just kind of gets back to what we talked about, where it's like, well, nobody will care, just do it, you find out somebody does care, or, I mean.
He doesn't care about him driving in on it, but he said, I won't sign the easement. He's scared they're gonna take the dirt from him,
Probably just doesn't understand what that means.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't wanna degrade him and whatever, just, Chris Reitman called me, 2 of those trees, he cut them all out of that right away.
Oh, did he?
There's 2 to 3 inch stubs, and all he needs is just to cut down, and wanted to bring it forth to the board. If we should have Wendy, if it's okay to bring him out to do it and get it done and move on, he'll put up his fences, send it back and done deal. So I said I'd bring it up at the meeting and go from there.
Well, they were in the ditch.
Yeah, they were up on the,
bank.
Well, I'd say with stoppers, to answer that question, that whole 3rd Avenue up to that intersection of 56 would get done, and then probably a quarter mile to the east. And once you get there, then you're technically off the public right of way, so.
And Monty Brindle to the south of him.
I think that's 4th Avenue.
Let's see, 3rd Avenue and 56th Street East.
Or was that 3rd on, I thought Brad's was 3rd.
No, Brad's 5th.
Oh, so okay, yeah, then Monty's would be like 3rd, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right there,
There's
where
good.
that red star is to the right. I think that's,
No.
no, that's Rock
No,
Shares.
Monty Road, go
We gotta go east a little
Northeast
bit,
more.
right?
all right there. There's a section line going in. They're going to get a house moved in there, I think, probably next year, they're figuring. They got a well drilled. That section line going north, then going west. He said there's a hill there, and it's getting washed out pretty bad. He says if you come in and just fill them ruts in, those washouts in, it would really help that just once this year, be fine. Just to keep it up, because if it keeps washing out, you're gonna have a heck of a deal to build up.
So I think with that one usually got bladed like once a year, cause Monty's dad lived out there, I think that's
Right.
how, just in the last few years, nobody's been living out there, I don't think.
Yeah, they took the house down.
Monty Brindle?
His son
He's
wants
from
to,
Hazelton, his son's moving a house out there.
right.
this fall or next spring or something like that.
So we're attacking.
Maybe, but
So if we could get that done, I would appreciate that, and it'll help the county out too.
well, I think
Fix
that one
it.
usually gets bladed, but it just gets it like once a year or
Well,
something.
it hasn't
So
been
well,
done.
it probably hasn't been done this year, but yeah. Especially if Travis is new to that route, he probably doesn't know that
Right.
that one got it once a year, so.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure when Gar or Justin were up there, they used to do it like either the spring or the fall time, just to keep it cleaned up.
And I'll stop up there tomorrow and maybe talk to them before they go out.
Good, yeah, Travis probably just needs to know that, you know,
Right.
that's an actual section line on the farm up there, so.
Right. Oh, and the other thing was Tony Baumgartner wants to clean them cattle guards out this week. He's gonna have to shut the road down.
Who's that, Tony?
Tony Baumgartner?
So we'll have to talk to guard, see if there's any loads going west or east before they do that. So we don't tie that up with semis.
Yeah, you'd have to block it off right after the gravel pit to be able to, yeah. Cause yeah, I think with that deal, I think the county put them cattle guards in, but that was the agreement that they have to get,
He maintains them.
yep.
Yeah,
Who maintains, he does?
The landowners that requested them have to maintain them on that one.
it's two,
Two?
then the railroad tracks are straight west.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How did that ever come about where they granted these cattle guards in some of these areas?
I think in those areas, I think they just got requested because it was always open range up there anyway. And then I don't know how they came to that agreement, but that wasn't that long ago when they put them cattle guards in.
That is their.
But they told them, because I think the other issue is some of these older cattle guards in the county, you know, how we gotta like maintain them, and I think everybody's like, why the heck should we maintain them? So from now on, they're like, we'll let you put one in, we'll give you permits, whatever you're paying for, and you're maintaining them, or I don't even know if the county might even install them or that, I don't know that, I'd have to look back, but I know those are the newer ones are all up to the person that requested them, basically the landowner, that
Okay.
if you want them, fine, but you're maintaining them.
Yeah.
Cause that's a well-known, that's like not up for discussion, they know it too, so that. So anyway. I'm just assuming if somebody would ask and you grant them a permit and let them do it, and then you just go, okay, huh? It's like a fence now.
But it's on a section line, right?
That goes across, you know,
Across the road.
whatever street that is up there, that's gotta be like 53rd or 54th way up there, so. Somewhere up there, wherever the Woolbomb pit is, it's way up almost on the county line there, it's like northwest.
Right.
You still grant them?
Well, nobody's asked for one since I've been on the board, I don't think, have they?
Well, the one that, David Reitman had down there a few years ago, but.
That one was already in, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean.
They were just arguing if it should or shouldn't be.
Would that work on my, the road going by me on the south side to maintain the speed of traffic?
Put the cattle guard in.
Cattle guards, that'd be a good thing, you know?
Well, yeah, but then you wanna maintain them at
Well, yeah,
that?
I'd maintain them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just into making friends everywhere you go, huh?
Water out of the lake and wash it out.
Sure, nobody would have a problem with that either, I bet you wouldn't even hear a word. Oh, the only question I wondered, did they have public hearings on that or anything, since that's kind of a big deal, like, cause those aren't that old.
No, they're not up there with Tony.
Like maybe 10, 15, well, they're older than 10 years, but they're probably less than 20. I wonder if they had like public hearings or something, 'cause otherwise, like, if somebody wanted to put one on the road going to my place, I wouldn't be very happy, I think I'd want something to say about that, so. I don't know.
You would think they'd have to.
I'm not sure how that all went down, Tony probably remember, if you know Tony,
Yeah.
he probably, 'cause I think, I wanna
There's
say,
no fences, no nothing to maintain other than coming up to the.
I'm just trying to think if there was one up there when Dwight Seagull
Right.
still lived up there, I don't.
It's south there, Josh,
Where's it at?
south. Right there at the Star. Then over to the west a little bit is those cattle guards.
Yeah, right where the, yeah,
You
right,
got the train tracks. Back east is one, right there, and
Yeah,
then there's
back
another
east a little
one,
more,
yeah,
So
farther
how
east.
long have they been
right
in
about
there?
in there, right
he
there.
figures maybe 10,
Maybe just a
15
little
years.
more.
But it had to be more than 10
They're not
years, I
very
think
old.
my dad was commissioner, so we're probably pushing
Right where that,
15 plus, cause I,
There's no permit, so you don't need a hearing.
Don't you?
well, I remember the county being heavily involved in that, cause there was issues with, Cause one time there was an
Must
issue
be
where
more
they
used.
gar bladed over the top of it, you pushed a little
There
gravel,
it
and
is.
then they were mad
Yeah.
because they had to clean them and Garfield it full of gravel, was an accident. I remember them being a point of discussion a few times, but.
Well, you fall asleep when you're bladed too, at times, it's like running in the field, but you forget.
That's how you hit the cattle guard,
Well,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, there's two of them up there for that one pasture. I don't like cattle guards, cause the cattle seem to walk on the shoulders of the road and then they make a bunch of, there's a bunch of washaways,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like that one out by Mossett's.
I've never been
Down
on.
in that ditch down there, you know, I mean, you can see it cause the cattle graze it down, I mean, there's ruts where the cattle walk and then the water runs and the cattle walk.
Yeah, pound it out.
In the shoulder, like in the slope of the road, it's not good. That'll probably be another thing that'll have to get fixed down the road here, cause that'll eventually wash or walk that road out, you know?
Not to change the subject, but Rita wants to call too about that road going south. And that,
Oh, yeah, Third Avenue.
why that isn't being built up.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but I
and
just
I know
gotta-
it's an important road to that area, but I would just kind of play the waiting game and hoping the water goes down enough, cause otherwise, like we just talked with that 17th Avenue,
Yeah.
you're gonna spend 500-600 man-hours lifting a road like that, and that's the same deal.
Yeah,
That thing don't drain.
there's no outlet.
You build it up, it's just gonna keep filling, you know, it could be underwater again in 5-10 years. Even the 17th Avenue, I think it's the third time it's been raised.
And that'll get raised again.
Yeah, well, and the only reason it gets raised is it's federal aid road, otherwise it might still be underwater, but you kinda don't have an option, it just kills you raising these roads out of water, it's expensive, it takes a lot of time. But,
Yeah, that's a bad
Yeah, it
deal.
isn't a deal where you can go and fix it and it's good for 10, 15 years, that doesn't work.
Right.
anymore.
Could be next year, could be ever again.
mhm.
Exactly. People don't quite
It's
understand
changed so much.
that. Yeah.
Well,
These
it only
lakes
takes
used
one
to
way
dry
here.
out, we used to hay, we used to farm. Now they're full of water year round.
That's what Judy Carlson said her parents used to pay that slough.
I farmed Baumgartner Lake twice, the whole lake.
Yeah.
You did? Well, yeah, Donnie's the biggest landowner of Rice Lake, it's all underwater.
I get 300 and some acres.
Well, that's what I mean, you got almost 2/4 in there, I mean. But when it's underwater,
Is
then,
that exempt then from taxation, the full amount?
Well, not the full amount, but you still gotta pay a little bit.
Yeah.
Donnie goes out with a boat, and he's got buoys right on the section lines there. If you go out to Rice Lake, you gotta pay the toll to go across.
Across it.
Okay. The only other item that was brought up or whatever was, you had something about right-of-ways?
Yeah, I was
That was
wondering,
the only
I
other
was
thing.
checking into that a little more, that toll ranch up north, we sent them a letter too, right? Did they ever move that fence?
The dome ranch?
Dome ranch, yeah.
I don't know, it wasn't on the agenda, so I didn't do any looking into it, but, whoever was road superintendent at that time, you'd have to ask them. I don't know if that was Nick or was that Francis?
Isn't that on yours there too, Dan? I mean, that's what, I know you said you had 60 feet there and I had checked and that's what, I had talked to Mike Renius and that's what he said you had there, 60 feet, you got right away along there, but then I talked to the state and that's what they kind of, well, they said 75 right away, but
No, it's 60.
it's 60,
I
but,
thought it was 75 too now, but it's a
but
60
it's
foot.
still, some of it's almost 30 there.
Where it comes up around that lake.
Yeah. And
The
that's,
North Dakota DO2 had tried to be like the letter had stated.
well, I saw that letter you had stated there, but I mean, the guy from the state said that doesn't hold no water. He said that should be moved. He said, you county, you guys, we're gonna be liable, even like up north there. He said, anything that's under clear zone of the right of way, we're liable for it. I don't, you didn't take liability for any of that when they did that, did you?
Did I take liability for what?
If there's an accident or something. Because the way it stands now, if somebody hits that post and has an accident, the county's liable.
So even on the roads where they built that Braddock Road up, when that washed out and Mr. Crum was on board at that time as the superintendent, and they set them fences up in the right of way.
I don't know, I guess I don't know about that for sure. But
And on the
anything
dome
that's in the clear zone of the right of way, the state told me, you should get that out of there. You're breaking the law. If we're signing a letter every year saying that we know these fences are clear, and we know that they're not, because we sent, like you and this other guy, a letter. He said, you guys are breaking the law. And he said, if something happens,
Well, initially, I got a letter pushing me back 75 feet on all the fence, and the fence is in compliance at the 60 foot.
at the 60
easement.
but not the,
And on that, going around that lake bed, it's kind of like where they come up on the state highways of 83. If you travel the corridor coming from Hague to Linton, on those 2-3 bridges that are on the 83 corridor, if you look at the corridor on the Beaver Creek so set, the bridges come up with guardrail, which narrow up extremely narrow.
well, the
And
guardrail,
there they could set them up to cross a creek.
a guardrail you could put up. If you want to put a guardrail up there, that would be okay. But this guy said, of any kind of post, I said, well, you said you drilled the post,
I
right?
drove them 5 clover leaf in them.
And the guy says, well, you just can't have a farmer go out there and drill the holes in the post. He said, that, and I thought, he said, we got engineers,
So he can put a guardrail up and not a fence.
a guardrail he could put up there. But
You'd want a guardrail up there to hold that snow.
I'm just saying. that's
Leonard
what
and
he
I
said.
talked about that, he said, we should put guardrails up, and I said, Leonard, don't do it. As far as snow, it'll be the biggest snow fence you ever put up.
Well, you know, it's not, this isn't about you, Dan, this is about the taxpayers I'm worried about. Because if what happens, they said if we get sued, the county's liable. Well, then I talked to our insurance guy that has insurance, that we have insurance through. And he said, well, there's a lot of variables there, but he said, if you got a letter saying that these people had this fence on there and they did not remove it, he said, then the taxpayers are liable, we're liable for it. So if we get sued for $2 million, insurance company's gonna say, well, you guys had a letter there that this is on the right of way and you guys didn't take care of it.
So all these other people that have fences that aren't in the right spot, if they don't have a letter, then they're all right, the way you're saying.
Well, if we know about it, if we know
Well,
about it,
you can drive around and I'll tell you what, you'll know about
well,
it.
if we know about it, we're supposed to act on it.
Do you know of any other ones?
I don't, right offhand, I don't know many, but, I mean, but we send you and this other guy a letter up there, so that's on record, that's a, you know, so something happens in that time period, we're the county, the people are responsible for that.
Well, I specifically made an effort at that point when I attended the county commission meeting.
Yeah, I know you did, I saw it.
And I'm just making note of it, and I made it with clarity to Mr. Don Becker, the state's attorney at that time. Alex Johnner approached me on a Monday morning after the meeting that was conducted, and he indicated to me he'd contacted the North Dakota Department of Transportation, and they told him to tell me to drill a clover leaf in them posts as a shear point,
Yeah,
as they do on bridge structures and on guardrail structures.
yeah,
So I complied with what they stated. I wanted a follow-up letter of the certified minutes and also a letter from Anna Mary Doctor at that time, which I did.
yeah, I know, I got that, I saw
Yeah,
it.
which I told them to give it to you because I heard you had asked for it.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't, it's not, it's like I said, it's not, nothing against you, it's just that the taxpayers are liable, so you know.
What about all the grain bins in the right of ways?
Yeah,
I don't know,
what do we do with all that?
I don't know. I'm
So
just-
we overlook them, but we key on me.
I'm not, just like I said, Dan, it's not about you, it's about the taxpayers. I'm just saying, if the taxpayers get, if we get sued because we got a letter, we're liable.
So the air that was initially, then when they sent me this letter of 75 feet,
I don't know what they said, what did you send them a letter of right away? Was it 75 feet?
Yeah, that's what I was told, it was.
I was told they were sent it to me, yeah.
Okay,
So it's not at 75, it's at 60.
it's at 60 all the way along,
And that goes for 3 miles.
3 miles, then it goes back to 75.
Yeah. And I was told that you're gonna lose money if you're not at 75 on federal aid roads, and the road that goes west of Strasburg, 3 miles, then goes north up to Terry Holmes' farmyard. There's 2 people that never signed a 75-foot easement, they're at 33-foot easements. And all of it's setting at 33 feet. Posts, everything.
I guess that I don't know. And I
You
don't
should
know
take
who-
note of it.
I don't know who's.
Take note of it, travel that corridor, and you will know.
So they were granted that then maybe by the state? I have no idea.
Check into it. Somebody checked into it on me. Check into it, because you're the one that's bringing it back to me.
Well, I'm just bringing it back to everybody we sent a letter to, just so I don't want the taxpayers to have a lawsuit if somebody gets killed, because the guy from the state says, well, I said, what about the metal posts? He said, well, them aren't breakaway posts either. He said, when the state goes through all this stuff, they go through strict testing and stuff like that. So I know you got railroad ties there, but is that gonna break off? I don't know. I know when the state came down and put that sign in the middle of the highway down there by me, when, they have an engineer that comes down and sits there all the time when they do that paperwork, or do their work there. they put that sign in the middle of the highway, that stop sign. You remember when they did that?
I
And
don't
then-
remember.
Huh?
I don't
That's
remember.
been just a couple years ago. Must got hit 30 times. Broke away, they got breakaway stuff. And I said, well, how long are they gonna do that? He said, yeah, probably forever. Well, then they finally moved it, because I think the state can be liable after so long too, because if this is a liability to them,
Well, these metal reflectors down 83, there's no breakaway on them, they're heavier than a fence post.
You could go east of Linton. Go east of Linton, not east, west of Linton. There's 3 spots. And the state granted these guys to come out of these watershed areas on state highway, federal highway. What is Highway 13? Is that a federal or state? I'd say that's a state.
I would say it's probably state, I was gonna assume.
These cattle guards that are in these roadways. And all that comes up to these cattle crossings.
well, I guess the cattle.
That's okay.
The state grants, they only have a few things they grant. They'll grant it from a bridge or from under cattle passing. But there too, I think you have to have breakaway posts and stuff like that or whatever.
And they're all in compliance on breakaway posts.
I don't know, I have no idea. I'm just saying,
I hear you saying, yeah.
but, and Joe should know the law. I mean, what is the law there, Joe?
He was granted permission back at the time, like we said last meeting. So
Yeah, but that was just from the road supervisor.
No,
That's
this
from the
is
state.
the Department of
There's more
Transportation.
engineering that was working with the state at the time.
On the letter that I got where your folks took that land, it says you have right of way to keep the fence there until the water went down, then you had to move the fence.
Is the water down? No.
No, the fence down the road, that's the way it looked to me, but.
I mean, basically you're saying that we're, I guess, potentially liable, so you're kind of warning that there could be reasonably anticipated litigation. In that case, we should probably close the meeting and go into executive session to talk about it, because there's no reason for us to put all this information on the record unless you're trying to get us to get, sued down the road. But I mean,
Well, I don't want us to get sued down the road, but I mean, if we do get sued, I'd rather get sued now for $30,000-$40,000 than down the road for $200,000, $2 million or something.
Because of that post.
Because of posts or anything, like I said, anybody that would get killed in there, we're liable for it.
Go east of town and then travel north.
Yeah,
And then travel south, and then you make note of all the infractions that there are done. Instead of keying on certain people, on these infractions that have been going on
Okay,
in this county structure.
Okay, I'm just saying, you're the ones that got the letters. So those are the ones that our insurance company said they're not gonna be liable for something like that. If they got a letter and something happens, there's a letter on the record that you're supposed to remove the fence.
Well, I think there was a letter on the record, but that's because when we were directed, or at least when I was directed to send the letter, I didn't have the information that he had already had prior approval to have his fence in place. So he has prior approval from a prior board to have his fence where it is, how it is. So if you want to make a motion to, overturn that prior approval, then go ahead. Otherwise, I don't know that we need to talk about it every meeting.
Okay, well, I'm just stating, I guess, that, just so the taxpayers would know that we're liable for if something happens there. I know the guy at the state said, well, he said your state's attorney.
Get a letter from him then.
Huh?
Get a letter from him. Which guy at the state?
Brandon Beasy.
What was the last name?
Beasy.
You spoke to him personally?
Yeah.
You have a phone number for him?
Well, I do at home, I don't have it here.
All right, is that enough discussion on the right of ways for the moment? Sounds good, moving on. Last item on the agenda will be the preliminary budget, discussion for that. Marvis, do you want to lead the way with any
Sure.
notes or interesting information?
So we can go to the first page. Just kind of what I put together, what I'm proposing, in fact. If I can, I'd like to raise the emergency fund. We didn't levy anything last year in there because we had so much state aid from the government, so, from the state. with the snow emergency, so I'm proposing that we raise that like 3.54 mils, because I think we should have
We should,
some emergency money there just
yeah,
in case.
we should have some.
And then,
To be clear though, before we go on from that, so 2 years ago, with that terrible winter we had, the state gave us hundreds of thousands of dollars through legislation and other different, basically when it was an emergency, like we
Right,
got, there were
so-
certain funding mechanisms through the emergency policies and
right,
processes.
so when we had that bad winter in '23, the state appropriated so much money for snow emergencies. So
Mhm.
all the money that we had spent on overtime, equipment, we hired these snowcats that came in, all those expenditures were sent in, and we got a check for like 500 and some thousand. And I replenished the emergency fund then, so last year we didn't have to levy any mills in there, we had enough money in there.
Right. The reason why I bring that up is because in an earlier discussion today, when people were asking, why don't we ask for state money and federal money? I mean, we get state and federal money on lots of instances, and that was one where basically they carried the mountain of water for us on a pretty bad winter, so.
Yeah.
That's all, I just wanted to.
And we do have money in there in the emergency fund, but I just feel that with the roads and the condition that they
No,
are and this and that,
I agree.
You know,
I mean, there should be
bring
extra
some money.
because you never know what comes up.
right. And then, another place is that I went up on is capital projects. That, that mill levy supports our county jail fund, and then Craig put in like $90,000 to repair the roof, I put that in there. And then John and Skylar had put in like $110,000 that they wanted out of the capital projects fund too, so I'm raising that mill levy up. So what I propose is like a 4.62 mil increase.
So what would they use it for?
He had it in his budget last time.
Oh, they did, okay.
Yeah, last month when he presented the county road and bridge budget. I can make it real quick, I have everything up here. I have some new budgets here, it's in the meeting. Okay, he had put in just projects and improvements, he put 110,000. Projects and improvements is all.
Yeah, cause the only thing I see from John when he sent that email to you and me, just so he wasn't here today, was county road and bridge, federal aid and road district stuff, so he didn't say anything about capitals in the email, so.
Yeah.
I'm assuming probably doors or driveway or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was probably, I don't know, it's just improvements he put on
Maybe
there.
some improvements to the buildings probably.
Right.
Shop or something like that?
Mhm.
Okay.
And then the next page is just showing, the unorganized road, the valuation from last year to this year, and we did 18 mills last year, we're gonna continue doing the 18 mills because that flex funding, I think there's gonna be more of that coming out in 25, but they're not sure. But if you don't levy 18 mills in your unorganized road, you don't qualify for any of that money.
Another example of you have to be maxed out on your mills to qualify for the funding.
Yeah.
Well, that's how.
Which
I
is
mean,
understandable.
Pointed out.
Right, but it's the same thing, you know, like I said, when you talk about these caps and the state screwing everything, they're basically saying, we're not gonna give you any extra funding if you're not even maxing out your mills.
Exactly.
You could argue the good and bad of that, cause well, if you don't need 18 mills, you have the funding, can't you still help us out? Well, their processes go, well, you don't need the
You don't need it,
funding,
you got it.
you got enough, so.
Yeah.
That's why even with the schools, why they always are, if the minimum is like 62 mills, they always run at 60 no matter what, cause you missed the door on other funding, so.
But all the other,
That's insane.
I don't know, that's your property tax for you, I don't know what to tell you. It's a,
all the other funds will stay the same. The county
Sure.
general, I don't have to raise that mill levy at all. That fund turned out really good. Everything else, just a little bit here and there.
the only question I'd have, Marlis, is so did you enter anything in for wages in them departments and stuff like that?
You guys said it last month to do 4%.
Okay, so that's,
So I did include that.
okay, cause I knew that was one missing factor. when we met, you know, was that a lot of departments weren't putting in,
Right.
so you didn't, your numbers weren't totally
Right.
complete until we made.
So I
that
took
decision.
everybody's budgets after last meeting and I increased them all by 4%.
So with a 4% increase in all the other requests, we're still only looking at, 7.7%.
Yeah, but I can't make budget in a lot of funds, we're getting to that.
No, I know, but my point is, I'm just saying, even the preliminary, that's actually a low number compared to, usually you put it all together and it's like 15%, you're like, okay, that's ridiculous, so.
And if we wouldn't be putting anything into the emergency and wouldn't be improving or increasing the capital project, we wouldn't have an increase at all, but, so that's a decision you guys gotta make. I just think, I don't wanna, with the road funds down the way they are, I don't want a bad snowstorm coming this fall already and into 25 and we run out of money.
Well, it
What's with the
sounds like-
contractors here?
It actually sounds.
From 81 to 200,000. On your,
Which,
What's the question?
oh, that was your preliminary, more than likely, probably just for the gravel
for the
hauling.
gravel
I
care.
would say that we agreed we wanted to do more gravel hauling, so.
And the culverts, when they go like from 60, what the hell was it at, 65 to 200 grand?
Well, a big one with that one was that Devon Baller one they wanna do, that's like
Down there.
$100-some thousand in culverts this year. Cause John put that in that email to me, that their
Okay.
major increase for culverts was literally for that
That
one
one
job, cause
big
there's
guy.
like 3 6-footers or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like $100-some thousand just for those, normally they wouldn't increase the culverts that
But
much,
just ask,
but
where is this going?
that's
to?
one specific job down there by Devon Vaughn, I'm not
Here's
sure
a-
We
exactly.
put that out in bids or what?
Say, Dan, here's a copy of the email that John had sent to Aaron and I last night.
Okay.
Just look at, he's explaining.
Okay,
If you wanna take one, give
I
me.
mean, with that Devon Baller one, I don't know if we were buying the culverts and bidding out the work, or I don't know what Skylar had anticipated with that. Either way, we
That's
were
a
planning on
major
buying
deal.
the culverts,
yeah,
but
yeah. Well, didn't he
But if-
buy them?
that I couldn't remember if he didn't already.
Didn't he buy those 3 culverts?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, okay.
But I mean, even if a guy appropriated the money for that and we decided to bid it out, you could use that culvert money to pay the contractor if you're gonna do it. So either way, you should probably appropriate for it, cause you know you're gonna be spending it whether you buy the culverts or you have someone else do it, so.
What do they mean when you go to miscellaneous cutting edges, clay and rock? What's that? I don't understand.
That's for purchasing, like when
Clay,
we, like if,
you've gotta do gravel, when you,
no, like if you gotta buy clay to build up a road or
Okay,
something, you
okay.
usually be paid
And
like
rock,
$1
red
or
rock.
2 a yard, yep,
Okay.
and so that's money for that.
okay.
So the increase in property revenue with that emergency fund and the capital projects, it's like 254,000, which is like a 7.71% increase. And then with the
Yeah.
county, with the unorganized roads district, with the increase of valuation, keeping the mills both at 18 mills, it brings in like $9,600 more in revenue then.
So literally, you're asking the emergency fund to replenish, which I think is very valuable, and the capital projects, which, again, kinda lets us use it for buildings and maintenance, I mean, those
Well,
are the
I
two,
put in that 90,000 for the roof,
right,
and then, like I said, Skylar and John had 110,000.
sure. But I mean, really, if you took them two out, you're literally not even, we're hardly raising anything, so.
If those 2 are out of there.
Right, so basically, and then the emergency fund is, as somebody who's been through several emergencies as a commissioner, it only takes one winter.
And we did spend 32,000 on the railing out here, so.
Yep. But I mean, it's nothing to spend 400,000 on a bad winter, we already proved that once.
And I just wanna mention, they just got that railing done last week. Today, they came and inspected to see
For
if we
voting
can still
for
use
the-
this as a polling place.
Wow.
We got it done just in time.
Well, it looks good.
Is that
Is it
something?
gonna be painted?
Well, I'm sure Craig met with them this morning.
Oh,
He's a good guy, this guy that's overlooking the job with Comstock.
This guy over here,
With the hat on, with the hat on.
Okay, I don't know if you wanna keep paging,
yeah, so what's your, I mean, your biggest issues, you said,
I've
even
got
when you
some
did all
big
this.
issues coming up here, so if you wanna go to, well, the general fund, I don't know if you wanna go through that or not. That's page 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I mean, everything turned out really good on there.
Have it on the screen.
I don't have to raise any levies there, it's really good.
You two can see it.
But if you go, you're gonna start getting to some highlights.
John, can you put this on the screen?
No,
don't have a digital copy, man.
Okay.
oh, they wanted it on the screen, I'm sorry, I don't have it.
Do you have it saved on your computer?
You have an extra book, no?
I do downstairs, I'd have to email it to myself or something.
You can email it to me, I guess, but, right now.
Okay,
Okay, I didn't know we were sitting here for a reason for this, or, okay.
How about page 6?
okay, so page 6, the county road and bridge, the federal aid, the highway tax, and the road district. So those funds, the 2023 appropriation and the 2024 appropriations were like 3.4 million. This year, when Skylar turned in his budgets, the appropriation was 5.5 million, which is $2,081,350 more than it was last year. There's no way that I can bring in that 2 million.
You can't, can you?
I can't. So if you look at page 6, go to the next page, page 6 on top there, it shows.
Schedule C.
So on the bottom of page 6, it shows when I enter in the appropriation and the monies I'm gonna have at the end of the year, and the revenues I can bring in besides taxes, it shows that I should levy $1,278,000, and the max levy I can bring in at 10 mills is $428,000, which is a shortfall of $849,301.59. The same one with the federal aid. It's telling me that I have to levy $496,000, I can only levy $214,000, that's a shortfall of $281,000. Highway tax is currently in the red now, $43,000. I'm going to transfer $300,000 in from the legacy fund, where the legislators gave us like $400,000 from the legacy fund in 2023, which we haven't spent yet. That can be used for maintenance, gravel, whatever you need. So I'm gonna transfer $300,000 into the highway tax.
That's the legacy fund.
Yeah. And then, they had $400,000 of gravel appropriated, $350,000 out of the unorganized road, $50,000 was in the county road and bridge. We're gonna be getting more legacy funding in 2025 of $459,000. So, I took the gravel out of the road, unorganized and county road and bridge, and I stuck that into the legacy fund. So we got $400,000 budgeted in the legacy fund for next year for gravel. I had to take it out of these two funds because I can't make budget. Let me see here, so unorganized road, that one there tells me that I'm supposed to levy 1.2 million with his appropriation, and I can only levy 679,000, which is a shortfall of 574. So I'm gonna be short, let's see what I can, there's gonna be a shortfall of $1.7 million. So he wanted an extra $2,081,000, and I'm gonna be short $1,705,000 out of that.
And just to be clear, what you mean by short is that
I can't levy.
our valuations of our mills is what's limiting us, because every county in the state has a limit of 10 mills on county road and bridge, but our mill is only worth 37,000 change. So we can only bring in 377,000, like, so you'd have to increase the valuations in order to bring in more money, because you're maxed out.
Or the mills, and we can't.
You can't increase the mills because you're maxed out, so.
Yeah.
I just want to say, when there's a shortfall, it always sounds like, oh, we're short of money, we don't have the money. It's like, no.
It's a shortfall of 1.7 million that I cannot levy in due to the mill levy cap.
You can't generate that tax value without increasing the valuations on properties, which, even then, there's only a guarantee you could only raise them so much, because there's caps on valuations, like egg land and all that, so.
So I want to just mention that there is some room in the capital projects mill levy of another 5.37 mills, if you guys want to, I didn't figure that in now, but if you guys want to bring in another 5.37 mills, I can do that. And then the emergency fund, we can go another 2.46 mills if you want. Then of course, if you want to go into the general fund, you can do that too. I mean, that's up to you guys, I guess.
So how come he added so much in there?
How come he added so much?
Yeah,
Well, in his budget do you have a copy of his budget from last month?
I don't have it here. no.
If not, you can turn to page,
Yeah,
it starts on page 12, it's a county road and bridge.
Yep.
It has all the expenditures that he had in there.
So I think, I mean, he went all over, he went away over.
What do you have last month's
No,
Yep,
budgets?
yep.
Yep.
You'll see where he increased everything.
Okay, it went from 4.25 equipment issue to 591 or
what page is
600.
that on, page 12?
Okay, you can go to page 12 in this budget book. Are you on page 12, Donnie?
Yep.
Okay, if you go by the expenditures on the bottom, you'll see the estimated expenditures for 2024. That's what he appropriated last year. And then you'll see requested for 25. He wanted 815,000 last year. This year he's requested 1.4 million.
Okay.
That's just on the county road and bridge fund. And then page 13 is the federal aid. Last year was 314,000, now he wants 940. And the same on the next couple pages with the highway and the road.
1.3 to 2.2. Who's asking for this guy?
Yep.
I don't know, but I'm just gonna tell you, I got it marked with stars, what he's asking for. One is a change of 40,000 in contractors to 200,000, which is mostly for gravel hauling, which we've been getting yelled at. Another one is for culverts, 70,000 to 200,000, which they explained like 120 to 140 of it was for Devon Voller's. Not to pick on Devon Voller, that's just the area it's in, so you're familiar,
It's
but
on that area.
there's like 3, 6 or 8 foot culverts that are like 40,000 apiece.
Yeah.
Another one was he added 350 for gravel, cause we didn't put anything for gravel last year, cause we had crushed up at Woolbaum from the previous year's
But I'm
budget.
keeping the gravel in, I'm just doing it in the legacy fund.
Right, but I'm just explaining the increases,
Okay.
he's asking for
Do the
gravel,
work
he's asking for gravel, culverts, and hiring contractors to spread the gravel. I mean, that's a majority of the increase in the road district, so,
So it's all.
I mean, so when you say, well, he's asking for a lot, well, he's asking for what they're asking for, to be honest with you, but to be fair. And same thing with this county road and bridge increase, a big piece of that, like 500,000 of that was gonna be the chip sealing around Linton and the $400,000 overlay, which I believe goes to the county shop, the golf course, which we all agreed to, so. I mean, these
And they did
increases.
strike the roads.
These increases and requests here are not out of line, it's just that whether or not we can fund them, so.
And like those two projects, I've got golf course one, and which other one did you say?
Well, it would be the chip sealing of like out by like the vet clinic and north of town, and
Yeah,
those three that we,
If the buckets fill this last quarter,
Prairie Dog one?
yeah, which we're anticipating it will, we're gonna get more prairie dog money in of $1.1 million in '25. So those would be two good projects.
Right.
So,
Because I think, what did John say this morning, that they were like 1.1 or 1.2 million to do both of them, I think.
so we were gonna do the mile there by dance out that way too, right? I mean,
That was like 700 grand.
Something like that.
so I could use it there, maybe something like.
I don't know.
Definitely got enough paving projects in a couple that, you know, that's something you could utilize, since we used it on box culverts out in the country, maybe it'd be smart to use them on the pavement around town next time or something.
It's a
you know?
plus that we're getting this money.
Yeah.
Well,
But
like-
I mean, just for the sake of talking about the budget, I mean, everything that was requested by Skylar and John here, for the most part, is what everybody else is requesting, it's just whether or not we can pay for it.
So you
That's-
feel like this flex funding
And the only
grant,
thing that's stopping us from paying for it is the laws on valuations of mills, so. We're not broke, it's not that we can't afford it, it's that they're not letting us afford it.
We need ways to get.
Well, and it's not such a bad thing, cause you don't want somebody running wild with your valuations just to pay for something on a whim, cause they're getting yelled at, but there should be maybe some kind of a break the glass scenario where you could use it, or I don't know, but. So anyway, basically, you can't make budget on these road district ones where they're asking for the increases that we all need to make the road good.
I'm maxed out
Does
on
that sum it
those.
up though? I mean, cause I know this is month 2 of getting preached at about roads, and I'm not upset about it, but this is what I've been preaching.
We need this money,
It's not that I'm trying to stop improvements or halt production. You can only do so much.
With what you have.
Well, and not what we have, it's not even the sense like we can't afford more. Even if the people would agree to, and we could figure out a way where we're capped by specific laws and rules, that's just the way it is, so.
And people don't understand that.
Well, that's why I'm trying to
That's what
explain it, I'm not trying to be gripey or sit here and defend myself, I'm just saying, we're operating within the world that we live in, even if we're saying, yeah, everything Skylar's asked for is great, let's do it.
It
You
is.
can't,
It
you
is,
can't
but
do it, I mean,
you just can't.
the only other way we can do some of it is we could appropriate we do have things like the permit fund, we have some money in
Yeah.
there.
And like I just told you, we can go
Same with like that
into,
legacy fund,
well, the legacy now I'm doing the gravel.
Yep.
And use it for the shorter
but
term.
you're appropriating shortfalls from the budget, you're taking money that we do have in other
Yeah.
current funds and appropriating
Yeah.
it to that.
And like I said, there is room in the capital projects of another 5.37 mils if you wanna do that.
So that would be 5 mills is,
5 mils would run you roughly 160 to $200,000, 37,000-ish times 5.
And I'm just hoping the legislators, when in January,
$185,000,
February,
give or
that they're
take.
gonna incorporate a lot more.
So,
But we can't bank on
Can't
it
bank
in the
on
budget.
Because you don't know.
hang on, what?
Well, he should just say the legislature appropriates more money in the legislature now this year coming in.
But that
But you
doesn't.
can't bank on that with your budget, can you?
well, and I would caution one other thing would be even with the prairie dog money, if that ballot measure passes in November, doesn't that go into effect like January or February too? It's like immediate.
Yep.
So you would, you might as well forget about any state funding, at least temporarily, because you'd have no idea. They would have to figure out how to fund the property tax mechanism before they could even disperse any additional money, if there will be any, so. So I'm just saying, take that as a note of caution too, oh, we're gonna get prairie dog money.
Don't count.
It could, but you might not, so.
So I just wanted to add that I calculated out last night, like the 4.62 mil increase that I had figured. On a $100,000 home, that'd be $20.79. On a $200,000 home, it'd be $41.58. The average acre of land is valued at $602.89 in Emmons County. So that would go up 14 cents an acre, which would be $22.40 per quarter. And that's on the 4.62 mils.
Okay.
So now if you wanna bring in another 5 point some mils in the capital projects, you can. I just didn't figure it in here. But you
So
guys,
you can, there's some room in a couple other budgets, but not many.
right,
One's capital budgets and one would be
capital
emergency.
projects, and then the general fund has some room in there. And
Emergency.
then the emergency fund, we could go another, what did I tell you, I'll go another 2.46 mils.
I thought the average value of an acre of land was $7,000, I heard, so.
Well, it should be.
That's what I heard it is.
Well, not when you do taxes.
I know, Just, well, you want your valuations to go up, fix your roads, I guess.
There you
You
go.
couldn't go that high anyway, because we're at what, 91%, so what is it? 100% would only maybe put you at $700 an acre with the state, because we're
Yeah.
in the 90s, so.
So is there any other thing you guys collect taxes on for roads anyhow? I mean, any.
The only way is to take it to a vote of the people, like the county road and bridge, that's 10 mils right now.
Yeah, but there's no other way, just for the roads?
They won't put it through.
There's no mill levy I can
They'll
do.
vote it down
They'll
then.
vote it down again?
They'll vote it down anyway. People
They
don't
try.
want to see. Yeah.
We've
Well, no, but
tried to
There's a lot of
increase,
farmers that ask, well, can't we just have a special thing that, farmers to put in money just for, yeah, like a
Yeah,
special
but you're
assessment.
talking about a few farmers. Now, you talk about the whole county. If they're not educated on that, they vote it down because they don't want that.
like there was a farmer that came to my office last week or week before, and he said, what if we would do like a special and do like 50 cents an acre and do like a special with all these farmers? But then I said to him, so somebody that has a brand new home out in the country that doesn't own any land, they get that free gravel on the road and the farmers pay for that? I mean, how is that really fair to everybody else? I mean, to the farmers when everybody else gets
The
this.
farmer with the most land pays. for it.
Cattail,
Yeah.
what about that Cattail Bay Road then? Who pays for that? Just farmers?
I know, but I mean, I'm just saying a lot of farmers would say, I would chip in if.
If, we can try to do that, Joe's not here, but, what it would take to do that, I mean, I wouldn't be against it, but I'm thinking it would have to be voted by the people, or at least have a hearing, I don't know.
Other people and the farmers willing to pay so much emotion that they create and earn and carry and transport,
What?
would they?
Well, like pay like so much a bushel or something, like a production tax?
Yeah, production tax. How many bushels would be reported and how many would be hidden?
And we could try for vote for another 15 mils.
I would.
County Road and Bridge Fund.
I guess I would.
Well, it doesn't hurt to try and at least explain it, because but what we're hearing, if you're gonna listen to these last two meetings, they want more. I mean, they do, and they're not wrong, and it maybe that's still, because if you would increase another 5 mils, you're talking bringing in close to another 200,000. that gets you to another salary or two, or, I mean,
But,
it's any
you know,
good.
then that mills is used for everything else too, though.
Well, County Road and
No,
Bridge.
to go to
it's
County
used
Road
for County
Bridge.
Bridge.
Oh.
County Road
Just
and
road
Bridge.
stuff.
Could be
Oh, just on
specifically
that
County
one.
Road and Bridge. You just gotta remember one thing though, guys, just to remind you, not everybody lives in the country either though.
That's right.
I mean, and everybody's paying property taxes, and that's where, I mean, even the property tax argument to the folks that are living in town, and their cities are already fixing their towns, and they're getting specials in town, and now the county wants to go up on the gravel roads that they don't even drive, I mean, just,
No, but
I'm all about fixing the roads, and I understand it, and I know we've been getting a lot of complaining, and a lot of it is absolutely necessary, I'm not gonna begrudge any of them,
A
but
lot of them see that
not everybody
15
lives in the country.
that 16% that we get out of that pie, and you know, it's not enough, really.
It's not.
No, it isn't.
No.
No, that's why I think should give it to the vote of the people again.
Hmm?
If they wanna vote it down, okay, this is another reason why we can't do anything more to the road, yeah. Is there opportunity to prove that?
Well, we got an
they're
election
gonna
coming
pay?
up, can you put it on, you can put it on the next ballot, right?
I don't know, I think we'd have to do a resolution, I think we have to do a public hearing too.
No, cause I
Get
mean,
it on
when we
the
did the
ballot.
federal aid one here, just remember we had to pass a resolution just to get it on the ballot, I don't think we had to do a hearing though.
No, here we didn't.
I just remember we had to pass, cause
We're out of time.
well, right, I mean, it doesn't have to be now either specifically, I guess, but I don't wanna get too hasty and just react on things either though, I mean, let's remember that we're talking about increasing property taxes too, and not everybody's in favor of increasing.
No, but
So,
that's why I'm thinking, put it to the vote if they're not in
yeah,
favor of it.
well, I don't disagree with that, but I just wanna say, don't get lost in the fact that, you know, we have disgruntled people that live out in the county, but then there's also people that live in town that are probably very happy with, you know, their, you know, not paying what they pay in Bismarck for property taxes and stuff too, so I mean, we have other things to consider, so we're doing everything we can, it looks like, financially, you know, we gotta make sure that we're managing it to the best of our abilities and utilizing whatever funds we can from the state and federal government when we can, which we are doing. I mean, we're kind of in a mad dash to do more, and it's hard, we're doing a lot, guys, I mean, I don't think that gets said enough.
There's a lot.
It's not perfect, and I'm sure a lot of people are disappointed in some ways, and that's fine, and that's the way the world works, but we're not doing nothing. We're doing what we can with what we have, and.
I mean, the rest of this budget is just funds that we've used before, you know, your public health and water board, and
And a lot of
nobody
those-
really did any big increase, so,
But there, you made budget with all that stuff.
yeah, there's no problem with any of these other funds.
So then the question is do you, obviously you don't need us to do it yet, because the prelim, do we have to make budget for you to even send those, or can we still send this as it is?
No, I'll do my estimated property taxes with just the mills that I can do, and that's it.
Good.
Just,
So like in the road department budget, if they were asking for 700,000, you can only give them 500,000, you're gonna send a preliminary estimate based on 500,000 for that budget. You're not sending a preliminary with a shortfall, and you can't do that, right?
no, I'm gonna be sending what I can, I'm gonna figure the 10 mills in the County Road Bridge, the 5 in the federal aid, and that's what I'm gonna do the estimate tax statements out.
And so then what we'll have to do.
You guys' job is to cut out.
Right, we're gonna have to cut the 100 or 200,000 to make that shortfall equal, or we have to appropriate it from another fund or something,
So
right?
do we have to appropriate that now? From
No.
another fund?
That's the final decision.
Well, you mean if you wanna go those extra 5 mills in the capital, yes, that'll have to be done now.
Yeah, you can't raise them anymore after today, you can only lower, but so
After the
that's,
estimate tax
Well, that's
statements, you can't.
I wouldn't want it short, take it out, because then we can't put it back
Can't
in.
get it back in.
right,
I just assume take it out of a different fund or something, just to cover for now, until we can come up with a solution.
I would agree with that completely, because in my opinion, you should always send out the worst case scenario with preliminary, because like you said, we're at a 4.62 mil increase, it comes out to 7%.
Yeah.
You might as well max them other ones out and see if it looks like 10-12%.
But you're not even gonna be able to make up that 1.7 million that we're short in.
No, but you're gonna get closer, if you're gonna add another
5 mills.
160,000 in the capital projects and try and utilize that for some road maintenance.
Yeah, do what you
If you're
can.
300-400 short, at least it gets you 160 closer.
I
And
think
if we
that-
don't wanna do that, we can cut that out, and, you know, maybe we don't even wanna raise that 5 mils, but I would rather put it in the preliminary, like Gary said, and
Do what
if you wanna hack it out later, you get enough
Yeah.
blowback, or you think about it, and it's just maybe not the way you wanna do
Do you
it.
want me to increase the emergency and the capital?
I would say max them both
Yep.
out since they're so close and just,
Yep.
cause this budget is not, I mean, usually preliminaries, it already looks so gross, you usually don't wanna, this one isn't that bad. I mean, it's an increase, but I was expecting 12 to 15% already without even maxing them out, so. I would say max it out and see what you can do, I mean, if we're gonna try and fund any more priorities, that's the only way to really do it. You're gonna have to try and increase wherever you can, max everything out.
Yep.
Hope for some state and federal funds and then lean on
So how much we
lean on
got,
any reserve funding if you have a shortfall later on from something happening. I
how
mean,
much we got left in the permit fund?
Look at
She's
your
got a
sheet
paper
today, I
here.
think it's 900 and some thousand, but then, you know, we're using, some ARPA funds we were short on, remember? For the auditorium, I can't remember what we were short in there, we're gonna need to remind that, I think it's like 200,000, right? Do you have, it should be on there.
It should, that one page is double-sided, so it's in like the tight looking ones. Yep. Yep, that's the one, it's like the third or fourth one down.
I think there's 900 some thousand.
It's 917, but we appropriated probably close to 100,000 out
I
there.
think 200, so there'll be 700,000.
Right, so there's about 700,000 in there.
So we still get quite a bit coming in on that?
You know, I just did one the other day for 1,600 or something like that. Comes in.
A few thousand a month probably on average, unless
So
there's-
these that are coming in now, that from South Dakota, or, and coming up and coming through Hague, are we getting any of
What
that?
are they doing for what?
They're bringing those wind towers over to,
Because of the.
No.
only if they're on the gravel,
Only if they're in gravel.
oh,
or
sure.
our 16 miles of pavement.
Oh, going
But
over
there's some
the-
towers, they're changing some blades on some of these wind towers that we have now.
Yeah, there's
Doing
regular
some-
maintenance out there, they switch out
Yeah.
blades and so forth.
Well, I see some come up and they go through Hague and go that way, and I
That's
didn't know.
because of this bridge here. Closed.
They're going up on the federal aid road.
No,
They're going in, on the highway and go in through, but I don't know where they're
they go
turning.
out to the.
They can't come through this construction site south of town, so they have to reroute, come
Yeah.
around.
But I mean, are they paying their,
If they're on a state highway, there's nothing that comes to the.
no, but once they get off the state highway to get up,
Once they hit the gravel, they should have a permit.
I wonder if they do.
No, they go
I
out
did,
to
you know, I,
Victoria.
just last week, I think I did 3 of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
But most of those that we see through are just the maintenance that's going on, the tower east of Hazelton. Periodically, they have to change out a blade, or they have to change out a gen, you know, something like that. That's what that usually is.
And a lot of Pinky homes, I did a lot from them.
Yeah, cause they take that St. Michael's Road whenever they
So is
bypass lane.
Is that almost like an honor system thing, or what? Or how do they, who tracks that?
It's on honor system, yeah, I don't know if they're out there, whatever.
They don't call nobody, do they?
No, everything is online. It's, yeah, the permit system that the county uses is online. They go online, they get it. Same thing with DOT.
Okay.
It's all online nowadays, yeah.
I mean, we have to approve it, I have to go on and approve it when I get one, I usually get an email.
Yeah, we get an email notification of the
Yeah.
permit, you know, and so forth.
I was just wondering how many go by without even doing anything. You know?
I can, did we bring in 15,000, I think, last year, or something like that? I'd have to look.
That's a big project, though, which,
Oh, yeah.
I think it's double the size of the one up here by Hazelton, isn't it? And there's 2 or 3 more proposed for that area.
Did they start yet?
I don't know. I don't know if they poured the footers or not, did they, Gary?
I'm not aware of that.
I had no idea. I know it's this guy with FHA bits, Daryl. I said, he was sitting in a grill one time, and he was eavesdropping us. I said, how many more are there? I said, well, I know you know because these guys are coming in for operating loans.
Well, he's
What the
selling
revenue's
gravel to
gonna
all
be.
of them though too.
Yeah.
He's got that big gravel
Pit
pile.
there. And he said, I said, there's 2, 3 more, and he said, it's the way it sounds. Not good.
Yeah. Okay, well, so for the sake of preliminary budget, you're looking for a motion to approve it and any amendments basically, right?
Can we make a motion, I suppose?
Because, well, you have to approve the preliminary budget, so we'd need a motion, but you want that motion to,
So,
include an increase to the emergency fund and capital projects fund?
so how much would be shortfall then
Oh my gosh, a lot.
if we put all the mills in?
Well, we'd only be adding about 2.5 for the emergency fund, and you'd be adding roughly 5.37, so you're looking at,
7,
maybe 8 mills, so
Yeah.
it's 7, yeah. 7 3/4 mills. So you're adding about $300,000 total, right?
I'm just figuring how much we're gonna be short again.
How many mills were there? There were,
We're
Well,
still gonna be short 1.3 million.
only roughly, okay.
from what was requested,
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what we used to request.
but that's the only thing that we can increase as of right now.
Well, you could do some in the general if you wanted to.
What can we do in the general?
well, it looks like there's about 20 mills there.
And what are we at? So we're at 20.
No, we're at 40 and 60 is where you can go to.
County general force.
I don't think I would put in the full 20 mils. Oh my gosh, for that raised taxes.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanna do 2 or 3 or 4, that would be okay.
If you put 20 mills on the general one, we'll fill the room again.
You think
I
we-
mean, oh, yeah. But you're talking, 20 mills, that would raise you
What are they for?
$750,000.
That would do it.
That would do it. There it is, that's where we.
You think it would bring a house full instead?
Absolutely. I think I hope the auditorium's done. I think you're gonna need the auditorium.
The roads would look better.
The roads are
You
good.
wouldn't have to worry about the road situation.
Do you know why, Gary, 20 mils would only bring in
800,000.
800 of thousands?
Yeah, so I tell you 800,000, so you'd be bringing in about $1 million if you maxed out all the mills, so.
Well, I would say we should increase the general a little bit. I mean, to couple mils, not 20.
Must be nice to be done in a couple months, huh? Not have to be here next year, not even have to worry. Raise them up before you leave.
You can come in and help us collect the property taxes. You need a part-time job? No, I won't.
Well, if you would max out the capital projects in the emergency fund right now, that would be about an additional, roughly, I'm just at 7 and some mils, so you're looking at a 12 mil increase from what we have, well, that's
Quite a bit.
but that's without touching the general fund.
Yeah, right.
12 mils is gonna be tough to absorb.
No, I'm just looking at it because we can't increase it anymore. That's the thing I was looking at. We
Right,
can
I
only
know.
decrease it. I just thought, after today, we cannot increase it anymore.
My suggestion, if anything, is rather than trying to increase some of these mill levies, is we probably appropriate some of that permit fund. I know we're at $750,000, but if inflation's gonna continue the way it is, that dollar's gonna be worth less and less all the time. I'm not advocating for breaking the bank on it, but there's no reason we can't pull another 100 or 200,000 out of that. I mean, we would still be at $500,000 for a permit fund, which is a very nice benefit, right? I mean, I would more advocate to appropriating some more funds out of that permit fund. I know the old German-Russian sentiment is to keep everything you got, don't spend it.
Don't spend it, done.
We could do that during the year too, though, for sure, right? I mean,
You, what'd you say?
we could do that during the year too, if we got.
Yeah, I'm appropriating so much that we're gonna spend it this year, right?
Right,
But
I mean, you can appropriate later, and like, if you get into the year and you wanna spend an extra 100,000 on something, like crushing gravel, something we've done it before, where couldn't turn down the deal, they're gonna be here in October, and it's like, well, you pull 100,000 out of the permit fund to make the budgets match and do what you gotta do, so. I would advocate, rather than raising taxes too much, I don't disagree with matching these out and seeing where it lands, we can always
Max it
cut them
to
out
100,
later.
and yeah,
And I would say, before touching the county general, I would advocate appropriating some funds out of that permit fund. I think that'd be a lot better stewards of the money. Let's use some of the money, and I think as far as an attitude towards the roads, I think if we're gonna have any money for gravel, I think we should be utilizing it to haul the gravel. We got it piled up in several places.
I'd say
You wanna know where the money's at for our county road department? It's on pile.
it's all about.
We got millions in piles all over, which is great to have, But again, if you wanna pick on the German-Russian mentality.
If you wanna get it out.
Oh, we got gravel everywhere, we're safe. Well, if it's not on the roads, it isn't doing us any good.
I think a lot of times, and like I said, if we get out there early in the spring, you'll get a lot of that gravel up too, you know what I mean?
Right, and I think we need to emphasize, we've crushed gravel almost every year I've been a commissioner, and I think at some point we need to be the guys that are hauling it. Like, we've crushed enough. I think I would rather be in the situation where we have gravel on our roads and we're in better shape and now we're looking for gravel than to have all this stockpiled gravel and it's not on the dang roads. I mean, that's.
I'd say the people
And
are a lot more satisfied.
Well, and I'll take blame for that in the sense that we've been focusing on building our reserves, which is great, but if you're not getting it on the roads, you're kind of defeating the purpose. And
Well, we still should be looking gravel for the southern part of the county there.
well, I got no problem with looking and prospecting, but we've spent a lot of money crushing gravel the last 6 years that I've been a commissioner. We've spent.
You've got some big piles.
Right, and the other thing to remember is a lot of these leases are only 8, 10, 12 years old. If you don't start burning these piles up, you put yourself in a position where it's hard to renegotiate. It's, you know, hopefully these guys will work with us and be great, but not all of them might not be, so. Last thing you want is a year left on a lease and 150,000 yards in someone's yard, you know, so.
And can't get trucks.
Right, if we're gonna spend $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, I think we need to emphasize for a little while on getting it out on the roads, getting it out where it needs to be. Not necessarily wearing these piles down to nothing, but shrinking them down to where they're a little manageable. A couple of them piles are pretty big, and they need to be, we need to get them out there. So I think that needs to be our focus to relay to the next road superintendent too, is that crushing's important and keeping a supply is important, but
We gotta get it on the roads.
it's all on a pile and not on the roads, it's no good anyway, and that's, I mean, that really, if you think about it, that's where a lot of the money over the last few years has gone, it's in a pile. You take away blade payments and keeping your blade fleet up to date, and gravel crushing,
What were the complaints today?
it's a lot of money.
Gravel on the roads. That was the whole focus, was gravel on the roads
Yeah.
and taking care of them,
Yep,
respecting them.
not getting bladed.
And a lot of the respect's gotta come from us as landowners.
That's been the gripe the whole year.
It's been gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like Westfield there, they got all that gravel last year and they're still complaining.
But there's a lot of roads that are tough down there too.
Yeah.
Well, you
But you
can't,
gotta say it too, a lot of that gravel that got hauled, I think, was clay on clay,
I could, yeah,
and that's a mess.
yeah.
Fresh
Well-
gravel on clay with
No, they
clay
could tell
is a
right away
nightmare.
which pit came from which. They said this stuff was good and this stuff wasn't as good.
it seems to me that the stuff out of Cattail actually is better in a lot of ways, cause
Oh, a
most
lot
of
of
these roads are
that's what they
muddy, like they say it's no good gravel, but where you have pure mud,
Yeah,
it's excellent, cause it's all sand and rock, it's what you need.
You know, I thought that old gravel would be the best gravel, you know, there was a lot of rock at it and that, but that wasn't as good down there.
not in the Westfield area.
Yeah, no,
It was an insult to that area, because it's too much clay.
yeah.
Well,
And
I
like
mean,
you
that's,
see that sand from Vanderbilt, they said you could just see the line
Yeah.
where they gravel with that versus on the east side of that dividing line where it came from the gold pit.
All right.
well, and that kinda brings up another fact too, that when we're talking about all this stuff, is it doesn't necessarily always have to be gravel. Well, I mean, I think we should be looking at just exploring crushing rock and adding rock to some of these, I mean, some of these rods just need a little more material other than clay.
Well, that's what
You know.
Francis did with that one down there, no, they put a lot of rock.
To add it to the gravel,
Right.
but I'm just saying, there's some roads that
You just
could just use a load or two of rock, and then if you rolled it into the windrow and kinda blended it, I mean,
You see that, I wish we'd had access to a cement plant, where used cement would come in, where they crush it and haul that cement. That crushed cement on roads is a
That's the
plus.
best.
we
It's
do
the
have,
best.
we do have some crushed concrete out there, but we were always warned that the big issue with it is there's metal in it too,
The
though.
rebars.
That's they're saying you should use it more as maybe like a base than to try and coat it, just because they're worried of the rebar and the mesh, so.
When David Mock was saying about that neighborhood up there getting together with those 4 or 5 loads, that area, you can still see where that is, that hasn't moved at all.
Oh, it
That
don't
was
move.
crushed concrete.
Is that what that was, crushed?
Yeah.
I seen it out here, John McCrory's using it on the old livestock location. He crushed all that cement, put it on a pile,
Yep.
and he's using it for a roadway coming in by the bin site.
Yep.
I didn't drive it, but the way it looks, it's firm like the cement floor.
It gets hard.
It gets hard, it pulverizes,
even
the pulverized
scrape
just gets tighter and tighter.
That's the only trouble though, is like you just said, though, you can't even scrape it, well, you get
Well,
scenarios where you get
well,
into a
okay,
drought
because you
though,
wash
then you
away
can't
with
blade
it.
it,
It's
I mean,
tough.
cause even like that mag chloride and all the other things,
Yeah.
everybody loves it until, you can't blade the
Can't
big
blade.
stuff. Well, even that concrete we put in at St. Michael's and by Randy
What's that
Weigels
like?
last year, they said it's, I talked to, Leonard Vedder, and he said it's awesome, but the only problem is, he goes, you can tell, it's like driving across a bridge. Like, it's so
It's so
hard,
firm.
it's just like,
But you
there's
don't have to
even
make-
Al, he don't even blade it, he literally lifts up
Lifts
over
up
the
and
top,
goes
cause he
across.
can't do nothing with it, so as soon as it starts getting rough though, you know, what are you gonna do with it, you know, those are some of the issues.
Can you rip the stuff and repack it?
I don't know, I mean, that would be the next question to do,
It'd
but
be rough.
I don't know.
I know they're happy with it now, cause I know like this spring, he said they had no issues with it, it's rock hard, and Randy Weigel told me the same thing, he said that's the best thing we could've done down there.
Okay.
We'll see in 5 or 10 years if it's still there, you know, but, so I mean, those are all things to explore, it doesn't always necessarily have to be gravel, you know, we can start exploring some other ideas too, and, you know, and hopefully the next road superintendent is somebody that's, you know, knowledgeable on a few things like that too, and we can start making some improvements with some of that stuff. One thing about crushed rock, it ain't gonna be hard to find.
No. But you did chip rock all your packs.
Yes, it does.
Well,
Go with rounds. get
I
the
know
rolls.
when we dig a broken water line or a water main, you dump P-rock back in there, it's just solid instantly, so I mean, there's places in this county that don't necessarily need another load of class 13 gravel on it, you know.
I wonder what it would cost to get somebody in just to crush rock piles.
Well, I would say the aggregate and all that probably be cheaper, they'd probably give you the rock.
What's this volcanic ash like with chip rock? Has anybody ever experimented with that?
As somebody who lives on volcanic ash, I can tell you when it's wet, it's awful.
It's snotty.
It's pure slick grease.
Okay,
You'll only go down that far in it and you can't drive in it.
okay. I
It's
didn't know
terrible.
what it was like.
Now, if you blend it with something, I don't know if it'd be better, like I know at the coal mine, around the shop, used to always get really rutted in the spring, when these huge trucks would come in. And so they dug down 1.5 feet or 2 feet, and we used fly ash from the
Yep,
power
yep,
plant.
yep, yep.
You couldn't even pound a stake in that though to grade it, because I was on the survey crew trying to tell them how much gravel to put in. We literally had to drill holes in it to set grade stakes. I mean, underneath as a base, that was awesome. Now, this volcanic ash is obviously probably a little different, it takes on water. That stuff didn't take on water. Once it packed, it was like concrete.
See, and I was told there's a pit over in Napoleon that some guys are getting gravel from, and it packs like cement.
That could be, maybe like the Fed brothers or something like that over there, or,
Is it Fettig Brothers?
those are the big ones I know of over there, I guess.
They're getting gravel from there. They said they're bringing it in on locations that they need it. They said it packs like cement.
You know, but
It's
even-
coarser rock initially,
Yeah.
but they said it packs, man, it's unreal.
But even our stuff, like that stuff out of the Knoll Pit or even wool bombs, you can drive 100 miles an hour on that when it's so hard. But as soon as it gets any rain, it just, we got too much clay, you know, and that's, so I don't know.
Fresh gravel's ugly, boys.
Well, that's why I think we need to probably start looking at blending different materials in it, like either straight sand or straight rock and some of this stuff too, like when these roads get a call, we need more gravel, and that might be the worst thing, you might just need some rock or some
Right.
sand, or, you know,
Yeah.
especially in these heavier areas or some of these hilltops where that's like maybe.
That 10 big area, that's some tough dirt
Mhm.
you go west.
So, I mean, that's just something too to consider that, you know, going forward.
Have they changed the specs when we crush gravel, rock?
I don't think so.
Well, that was
Because
what I
the
had
state
brought
planted
up.
an error, right? They kind of fessed it up to it, so say.
I think the argument is that their spec is just a little, maybe a little aggressive on the binder,
Okay.
which, like I said, it's great for specific uses, but maybe is just an all-purpose road gravel, it's probably not the best material to just spread on every road. But counties like us, who can afford to have multiple grades, so you crush this class, that's what you think you'll use the most of. There's times where we're putting it on these wet roads.
So what did you go up with these numbers?
Well, the maximum you could do in the emergency fund looks to be
How much?
2.46.
Another plus?
Yep. That would get you to 6 mils, because the one on the right there, the number Marcy has is the maximum mils.
Yeah.
And the capital projects is at 4.63, so that would take like 5.37 to get to 10.
Yeah, 5.37.
Yep. So you're looking at almost an 8 mil increase, was that 7.87?
7.87.
2 years of kindergarten really paying off.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend the emergency and capital projects max amount and approve the rest of the budget.
Okay, so Commissioner Hall makes a motion to approve the preliminary budget with the amendments that we max out the capital projects and emergency fund mills.
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Now, just to be clear, that's an increase of 7.87 mils on those two funds.
Yep.
And it would be an increase of 12.3 something mils total.
12.3.
Well, say 787 plus 462. 7.87 plus 1249, so basically, yeah, you're going up 12.49 mils. Would be the total increase to the budget. Anybody have any more questions or discussion on that?
492,000.
Yeah. I was looking at the wrong mill number, so it's 42. 8.
12.45.
Huh?
12.45.
Yeah, you're right, 12.45, I take that in wrong. Well, that looks like an increase of 533,834.
How much?
Maximum levy, you're talking about.
500,000. 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause if you took $42,878 is, you know, roughly our value of a mill, and took it times 12.45.
$533,835.
Yep.
I took 40,000, that's 42,800 is the value.
Yep, 42,000 is that'll be the new value, yep.
Right, yeah.
So it'd be an increase to the budget of $533,000, so. And that can be cut down to 0 or even less. So, I mean, you have those abilities here, that's, yeah. We can't increase it anymore after today, so we got a motion and a second to approve this budget with those amendments. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The preliminary budget is approved for 2025. Last items on the agenda that I'm aware of here are the miscellaneous.
I was gonna bring up that, David, we're gonna do anything with that anymore?
Well, I guess my opinion is there's an open blade spot. If he wants to apply for that position, then there's a job opening with increased pay and benefits. It's in the area he wants to be in. I don't,
And if he doesn't wanna go full-time?
well, if he doesn't want to go full-time, then I think, I mean, that's a decision up to the board, I guess, but I mean,
I think if he doesn't want to go full-time, that's the way he agreed upon, $26 an hour with the other two guys which agreed it.
Yeah, but he did.
I'm not gonna set precedents in the county to increase his wages as a part-time employee after he agreed upon it, nothing against David.
Yeah, but he didn't agree upon that, Dan.
Why did he?
That's his agreement versus Skylar's. And I'll listen to the superintendent, who was sitting at the time, and versus an employee that comes on board and agreed upon 26.
Skylar told me that himself, that he offered 32.
that's not the information I was given at all. I don't know.
What did you get?
I was told that there was plenty of discussion between him and David, and it actually had basically reached an impasse, like they couldn't have come to an agreement on it. And then in the meantime, Skylar had hired JT and Terry at 26, and cause he had even asked, I don't know if he asked you guys, but he had just talked to me, and he said, how many guys can I bring on? I said, oh, I don't know, can you get more than one? Cause I was thinking,
One or two guys.
I didn't think we'd be lucky to get one.
Well, see,
And he
that's,
said, well, I found 2 guys that'll come on. I said, well, you just probably have to pay them less, but if you can bring on 2 or 3, I don't care. He just asked me what he thought. Well, then he said, well, I got Terry and JT. I said, well, that's good. Well, then I had asked him about David Crum, and he said he told David, he's got 2 guys on at 26. That's what he's gonna offer for the seasonal guys, take it or leave it. And David apparently took it because he's working. That's what I was told.
that's what I was told Skylar was before, it was Skylar offered 32, because they didn't find anybody for sometime help yet at that time. So Skylar said, I said, well, get him on, get him to work if you can. And he said, Skylar said, well, I offered him 32, and then, David worked a couple days, then he came to me, he said, I don't think I'm gonna, he said, they offered me 32, now they're only gonna pay me, kind of call them back, they're gonna give me 26. I think because a couple more guys applied then afterwards, so I suppose he was short on his budget, and that's why he did that, right?
He told me the last time we talked at the meeting that he was gonna quit
Who?
if he didn't get this
Yeah,
raise.
he said he might
I said,
quit.
did he quit?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
He said the only reason I'm doing it for is for the people down there. I mean, if I stay on, but.
Well, I think if he's gonna be a seasonal blade operator and he wants to do it again next year, then I think that's when we revisit if we want, you know, I mean, Jim Wagner said that, a few other people, that 26 is maybe a little low, so I mean, we're trying to do the best we can with the budget we have. If people think that's too low, we should be paying more to recruit guys, then I think we can, you know, we can look it out for maybe 28 or 30 next year. Maybe we do a blade, seasonal blade versus seasonal truck, so you don't have to pay everybody the same amount.
The same thing, right, you need to
But I mean-
separate it,
Right, I mean,
you need to separate.
And JT was with the county for years, Emmons County.
Gary?
yeah,
Not
right,
right, for years.
so, I mean, I
He's a
just,
blade operator, he's running a blade.
I guess I just feel like if you got guys working at 26 an hour and that was the agreement, I'd say just stick to it for this
Gary,
year.
Gary.
And
I'm gonna give you this one.
if we're gonna revisit it next year, I mean, we're increasing the budgets, we're giving ourselves some leeway, then I'd say we look at doing that. You know,
Okay, well, let's look in.
It's too bad that that's the way it is.
Well, no, but I mean.
I'm not gonna set precedents, and I don't think other commissioners wanna set precedents with employees, not just in the road department, but any department. That when you agree upon something, and then 2 or 3 days or a day later, you don't think you can work for that. Well, then,
Well, I mean, that's, like I said, that's what the agreement wasn't for that with him right away. That's my understanding or whatever.
Say, Chairman, you guys all got a letter from Acacia?
Yep.
She just asked that you guys are aware, that she is traveling out of state for a conference, and our policy says that you need to get pre-approval from the county commissioners to travel out of state for a conference, so that's why she's requesting. She has the funding to do it. She just, so probably just do a quick motion.
okay, so we entertain a motion to approve, table, or deny
Oh my God.
Acacia Stucco's out-of-state travel for, looks like an annual conference. You make the motion to approve? Commissioner Everly makes the motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Miller. Lapse in judgment. Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Everly, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Is there any more discussion on the out-of-state travel for Acacia? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Travel approved. Okay. First on the list will be the renewal for a building permit for one-way wireless construction. I had 6 antennas, 6 RRUS, and 2 HCS 2.0 hybrid COVIPs at 285 feet center line from ground. Proposed as a 10 by 15 lease area with an 8 by 10 platform. Included inside the lease area, northeast quarter, northwest quarter right away on section 25, township 131, range 76.
It's on that one northeast of Strasburg, so just adding things to the tower and that.
Oh, that's one right by town, right?
Yeah, just
Right by that
a mile
like
up.
camp plan or whatever and all that, yep,
Yep.
okay.
Oh,
No new towers or nothing, everything's inside that fenced area up on the, okay.
I believe so. Yeah.
you want them coming to you, or do you want to pass them? Okay.
Anybody wanna look at them? Oh, this is South Central Regional Water, that's something different. So, entertain a motion to approve, table, or deny the building, renewal of the building permit for one-way and wireless to add antennas on the existing site.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Miller makes a motion to approve,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Materi. Any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit, renewal of permit approved. Next is a building permit for Randy and Nancy Bush to build a new 60 by 40 storage building on tract A, section 14, township 132, range 79.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Where's that at?
Yeah, it's.
It's right out there behind Bayside.
North of his house, so you pass the campground there,
Oh,
and then north of his house, so there's most of our, it's gonna affect out there.
it's a place to rest.
Everything's good, Josh?
Yep.
Motion to approve, table, or deny the
I
building
made,
permit?
I made a motion.
Oh, Commissioner Hall makes a motion to approve, is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Everly, any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Utility permit for South Central Regional Water to install a 10-inch rural water line crossing 78th Street Southeast, Section 33, Township 133, Range 74 on the west side of 19th Avenue Southeast, Northwest Quarter, Section 5, Township 132, Range 74. That's like east of Linton, right? Northeast of Linton, one ways? 78th and 19th, it's got almost be out by St. Michael's Church, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I won't look at these, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, looks like Skylar signed off on it, I'm assuming it's gonna get bored and all that, yeah. Well, this other one,
I
Skylar
think
didn't
he
sign
looked at
it.
some approaches too before he left, Skylar.
So the motion to approve, table, or deny the utility permit for South Central Regional Water, install a 10-inch rural line.
I'll make a motion.
To approve?
Yeah.
Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve the installation of a 10-inch rural water line by South Central Regional Water. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Miller. Is there any more discussion on the 10-inch water line installed by South Central Regional Water?
Yeah, okay, how much is it?
Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
I don't care for, it's up by the, we're fine by the highway there.
Hey, is in favor of approving the water line for South Central Regional Water? The one we just read off and we're looking at?
Yep.
Yes or
We
no?
have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Permit approved unanimously, no dissent. Building permit for Nate Keller to construct a 300 by 80 farm shop for Seaview Farms on Section 4, Township 130, Range 79. That's down at Cattail,
Yeah, they're gonna put it,
west of that last one.
yeah, parallel, about I think it's gonna be identical
Just west.
to that one, just west of it, so, in this area. So, the setbacks are good. Don't see any issues.
Motion to approve, table, or deny a building permit for Nate Keller to build a building on Seaview.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Permit approved. Next is a building permit for Ryan Nagel to erect a 42-foot grain bin on Section 30, Township 134, Range 76. We believe that's right along the highway.
Yeah, west of the highway, he's actually putting, I think he said 4, but they're all gonna be over 300 feet off the highway.
I see that.
He got approved a state permit for approach, because there's no approach there,
Yeah.
but. Beyond that, we got a setback
Oh,
of
it's gonna be way
120.
up there by your area?
Yeah, it's north of the house.
Yeah, it's gonna be in this area.
Yeah, yeah. Which is good, they're doing this out along these main highways.
Yep.
Instead of back in these gravel roads.
Yeah. So I don't see any issues on my end.
Shit, just doing that now.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Hall makes a motion to approve the building permit for Ryan Nagel for grain bin site. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Permit approved. Next is a building permit for John Colton Beck and Madison Shea Vanderhorst for building a basement and putting a modular home on it on the southeast quarter of section 14, township 133, range 76.
I spelled module.
It's modular.
Yep.
Yeah,
I believe that's out in the old, where John used to live, yeah.
Yep, they're
That's
gonna
out
put
there.
it south
Yep.
of the old house there, so I don't see no issues.
Yeah,
All
it's
good.
close to nowhere, so.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Commissioner Terry makes a motion to approve the building permit for John Colton Beck. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Miller. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Permit approved. Next is a building permit for Billy Stubbs for removing 3 antennas, 1 hybrid cable, 1 COVIP, and another 3 antennas, 1 hybrid cable, and 3 RRs from the existing wireless facility. Southwest quarter, section 25, township 135, range 77.
Yeah, I think same thing as the one by Strasburg, this one's just west of Hazelton, or southwest.
It's up there, that hilltop is in the
Yeah.
Up by the dump ground, yeah. Sounds like just antenna work, nothing
Well, that's
really
up in
crazy.
Culver's land, isn't it?
I believe that is up there, yeah.
Yep.
So a motion to approve, table, or deny?
I make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Materi makes a motion to approve a building permit for Billy Stubbs to do antenna work west of Hazelton. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Everly. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Permit approved. Liquor license for the Quencher Bar for a one-day event held on August 18th at the rodeo grounds.
Does Gary have to be here on that deal?
I sent him the agenda.
I mean, we did grant the Quencher the permit for the last rodeo. I don't think there's gonna be an issue, so.
I make a motion to approve it.
Commissioner Materi makes a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for the Quencher Bar for the rodeo grounds on August 18th. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Everly. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Next is a building permit for Brandon and Nicole Sane to erect a 64 by 50 residence with a 28 by 34 attached garage. North half of the southeast quarter, section 11, township 132, range 78.
That's up with the bin site.
Yeah, so go west of the bin site and go
West.
south on that road there.
No way.
They're gonna be out here 4 mile off that road, and
Oh, to the south, they're down away
Yeah,
from the
so-
bin site.
there's a bin
Yeah,
site.
They're
goes
down
west
by Albert Noyle.
and south. Yeah, Knowles, yeah, down here.
So you're gonna get to travel that wet spot, huh?
Yeah, they're gonna put it right around here.
I'm surprised he's gonna do it there. He was gonna do it by the highway before.
That's nice down there.
Yep.
That's a nice spot down there.
It's the problem with quiet places, they're hard to get to. But yeah, no, I'm sure.
That's where they worked, there's never Skyler worked on that road. That was
Yeah,
just-
that's that Knoll Lane there, yeah.
That's why I'm surprised.
I'm
he did
surprised
it.
you went that.
Oh, entertain
I'll make the
a motion to approve table or deny.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Holm to approve, seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion on building permit for Brendan and Nicole Sane? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Utility permit for Chem Electric Cooperative to install facilities on the county right of way on section 23, township 132, range 79, from intersection of Sturgeon Alley and Beaver Bay Trail southwest, west 240 feet to a point, Campbell Trench across Sturgeon Alley, north to south.
Was that up there by Jim Couch and those guys, right?
I don't know, I just saw this one.
Up north more,
Where's Sturgeon?
up north. Right in there.
That's way up on the north end, huh?
Hold on a second, I switched layers.
What are they doing, just putting in transformers?
I don't deal with these permits.
Look on the permit, it'll say what they're installing.
Facilities
Facilities.
on the county right of way of section 23, 13279 from intersection of Sturgeon Alley and Beaver Bay Trail. West 240 feet to a point, Campbell Trench across Sturgeon Alley, north to south.
Yeah, it really doesn't say
I
anything
was wondering what they say on
specific.
that permit, the permit would explain.
Did you find Sturgeon Alley?
Yeah, I'll find it. No, it's a small little section.
Looks like it's on the west side of Beaver Bay Trail,
Yep,
or at least I'm assuming it's Beaver Bay Trail, when we see like a
southwest and
PE.
west 240 feet to a point, Campbell Trench across Sturgeon Alley, north to south.
There.
Owners on there just what, doing a hookup for somebody?
Yeah, and Sturgeon Alley doesn't look like
That
a kind
or-
of section.
Oh, yeah, okay, I know where it's at.
Or
Is that going
could be a
to
regular,
trench
could be a regular or
one?
something.
You got that permit to build?
So right south of Kurt Reeves.
Of Kurt Reefs?
Yeah, so south of there, if you pass Kurt Reeves, so if you see.
South of there?
Yep, that's Sturgeon, south of his place,
Oh, that,
where.
Isn't that Dave Beestrom's? No,
No.
That's going south. South of there is Dave Beestrom's, right?
oh, that must be an,
There's,
underground
yeah,
transformer.
okay, so that's, so
That must be an
they're going
underground
across Sturgeon Alley.
underground transformer. That's what it must be doing.
Underground, to put a transformer.
Put it underground and put a panel transformer down.
I
I'll
think
make
they
a
give,
motion to approve it.
I'll second
they must be giving us this notice because Beaver Bay Trail is the county road there, because we got it back on taxes. It's not a section line, is it? Or is that part of
No,
section line?
that's the road we took.
Right, that's the reason they're doing the permit there, I mean, they're close by
Yeah.
right away, but they're actually working in Sturgeon Alley.
And that was what we took too.
So I guess I was just trying to figure out what the big deal is with this, but we have that road on back taxes, so.
Yeah.
Alright, so we had a motion and a second by Commissioner Holm and Commissioner Materi to approve the permit for Chem Electric. Any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Next is a utility permit for South Central Regional Water to install a 2-inch rural water line crossing 69th Street Southeast from the north half of section 20, Township 134, range 77, to the south half of section 17, Township 134, range 77.
These came in last night, Josh.
Yeah,
It's a personal hookup or what? I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Doug Smith came in to ask about this one.
Who's the other?
They're extending Jeremy Wills and then going over to Rebecca Phillips,
Oh, yeah, that's,
maybe or something.
that'd be,
Ellen will?
Jeremy Will's dad, Alan Will lives in that place.
Yeah.
So they must be running rural water over to the Phillips place
Yeah,
or
they-
something.
I mean, he's gotta cross 69 for
Just
it.
pour it across the road underneath.
Okay, the motion, or, permit here, I'd entertain a motion to approve, table, or deny.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Materi makes a motion to approve the utility permit for South Central Regional Water,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Miller. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. And with that, the agenda items are complete.
Can I bring one other, I don't know if I deal with that Chris Wright with me. Can I give Wendy Wangler a green light to go shred that stuff or what?
I don't
talked
know
about
if
it
the
before.
county is liable then for it.
That's the only topic on it, that they were gonna entertain it.
I think a lot of times trees on the right of way that taxpayers for.
I'll pay it out of pocket if I have to.
Well, I remember we had that conversation that Chris was gonna go and take them all out, and then we were gonna handle the stump grinding, and that was the way we were gonna try and handle getting some of these big trees out of the right of way. That's the way I remember discussing it, so.
Okay.
I mean, I think we have to meet him in the middle on this, or we're never gonna get these trees removed, and it's obvious we don't have the time to send. We're gonna end up hiring Wendy Wangler to take them all out. If these guys will at least fell them and get rid of them, and we gotta do the stump grinding, I think that's a reasonable.
There's a 2 to 3 inch stump.
Right.
That's a piece of,
Yeah,
that's so fast.
Is that the one that's down by the?
I don't know exactly the location, it's just south of David Reitman's place.
If I remember right, wasn't the quote something like $50 or $100 a stump, and there was like 20 some stumps, it was gonna be like $2,500 or something like that? I
Well,
thought,
and I don't really think it's gonna be that bad,
No,
because these
but-
stumps, when I bring it, I went down and looked at it.
sure,
Right, that isn't that big a stumps.
No.
There's some trees that probably.
but I mean,
so.
in the grand scheme of things, you're probably talking
And you
to,
got one that's big, but he said it's a 2, 3 inch stump. If I just have to chip it and don't have to clean nothing up, piece of cake.
I mean, if you're talking, we were like $2,000, $3,000.
Yeah, roughly.
I would see there's gotta be money in the road budget yet for $2,000 to $3,000.
I
We
just,
could pull out of the road district or something for that.
Find it.
Yeah, I mean, $2,000 to $3,000,
to clean up a
Yeah.
site,
I'd say, I have no problem with that.
But there's a lot more along there too though, right?
Yeah.
No, he did a long
no,
time.
he did them all. I haven't been down there to see exactly, if he took them out around that curve going there by, Orville Bankema.
Yeah.
I said, leave those alone if you leave, I'd leave them alone. To tear out all that fence and whatever, leave
Yeah.
it.
And there was a lot of trees there.
That was down on like 100th or something,
I
right?
think it's 100, I don't know what the hell it is, the
It's
street.
right down on State Line.
99 anyhow.
You talking about where Orville Lake was old
Yeah,
farm
yeah,
is there,
The
whatever
old place,
that's,
he's
yeah.
got cattle there.
Yeah, I was just down there, that's
That's down.
And it's all on the
boonies
north.
down there, man.
That's in the boonies.
There's, what's one of those one road in, one road out places, man, you don't, you drive, you make 7 turns to get there, cause there's no one road that gets there, that,
No.
And even that he stepped up to the plate to move
Yeah.
it, he pulled the fence
I
up.
think that's how, if we're gonna
They got
get,
rid of the trees and everything.
if we're gonna get some of this work done around this county on some, even like what Larry Umber had proposed, if we can find guys that can meet the legal requirements to bring them on board, like, we're gonna have to team
We
up
gotta
with some
start
people.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you wanna see progress to get things done, that's what we gotta do. If we wanna continuously fight, that's what we're gonna end up with, nothing.
Marcy, can I sign this stuff in red pen? Probably not, huh?
What do we have to do with this Crowley deal or anything?
Is that the only pen you have?
No, I got a blue one, I was just
I
saying.
wouldn't use red.
That was just an update on.
Just an update of what it is, correct?
Right. Yeah, that one, that's for the Emmons Logan Wind that they're repowering or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was anything we had to act on.
Is there
No, it's
anything
just
we have to do on
information
this?
only.
There's nothing hidden on this, is there?
Well, the repowering, to my knowledge, is, without reading through it too deep, is that they're talking about,
Is that,
they're not building any new facilities, but they
No.
probably are gonna have to rebuild some of the current wind towers and stuff like that, and
it's nothing to do with these batteries, is it?
no, I don't think so, no, from the way I read it, it was just basically they're showing the administrative code that they have to give us a copy of their 10-year plan of repowering and any entities referenced with the Public Service Commission, so they're just fulfilling the legal requirement that they have to give us their 10-year plan for repowering and stuff, so if you go through this is gonna give you their 10-year plan on
Okay.
everything for the site as of now, which is required by law, that's why they cite that administrative code, so. These are all permits.
It's empty.
Did this one sheriff, did he go over yet?
Get out of there.
Maybe did he leave that older sheriff that was here?
Deputy?
Yeah, deputy. Could he leave or is that still?
I don't know, I don't know if he left yet, cause I thought he gave quite a bit of notice, maybe not though.
Who's that?
The older deputy that come
Sean?
on.
He's here yet?
Okay.
There's nothing in there.
We need this.
Holy Hannaford, oh, that's that T-Mobile one,
Yeah.
yeah, with the plans and everything.
Then you got this stuff to sign here too.
Good thing I brought a new pen.
Cinch contract. What do they do? What is cinch contracting? S-I-N-G-A.
Let me look at it again.
Sing contracting?
Cinch,
Yeah,
S-I-N.
S-I-N-G-H,
Yeah.
that's Sing contracting, they're like a roofing contractor or something.
It was a gutter, if you look, it was gutter sales, gutter.
Yeah, I seen gutter on it. I didn't know what.
He's the one I advertised, that little kid pulling the wagon around.
Oh, the whole day today.
Used to be until 6 a lot of times, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 4 is still early.
Yeah.
Now we got work in my office to do.
Did they ever figure out the reports yesterday? Is that,
Ambulance?
yeah.
I don't think so.
Nothing they figured
I
out?
haven't, Ariella sent in today, I think she went to approve something,
Oh, so we have a model?
and she's sent in today.
Yeah.
It sounds like that gal from Tyler is gonna record. Lisa reached out.
Yeah, I
to
saw
her.
the email.
That's nice.
Yeah, she said it's not really training, it's just more, I don't know, so I'm sure we're fine if we all meet in the commission here.
You can do some cookies today first, Tom.
Yeah.
Martin Ellingson
Corey
was,
and Ron, so.
where's Martin Ellingson and Dave's brother, Tom
Where's
Brash?
she?
Where's Martin Ellingson do for the county?
That's Dave's
Where
brother.
do you think she's
Huh?
going?
That's Dave Ellison's brother.
I know, what does he do for the county?
How much was it?
Real, was it?
I think cutting grass, I think.
Oh, man. I can't believe school starts in 2 weeks. Doesn't it seem like last week was our 125th, right? Doesn't it seem like last week was our 125th?
Hold on.
And it's gone, it's a month away, it's fast already.
It's not a month yet, right?
Just got rid of the hangovers, yeah.
You did? It just seems like it was last week, I don't know, in July.
Sure missed the mini donuts.
You what?
I said I missed the mini donuts. They were awesome. Especially when you can buy a whole bucket of them.
Marla, you're gonna get the HR person to come down then?
I'm gonna call her. I told her, when I reached out to her, she emailed me back, she said she would be interested. And I was supposed to pick a time when we could talk to her on the phone, and I told her I would call her after
So you're
the
gonna-
meeting today.
Ask her if she can be on whenever we need her, kind of like Pam Binder was.
Yeah. She said she would think about that. She would help us interview, and then she would think about, and she's, I know she consults with 2 other counties, I know Botten was one of them, and I'm not sure the other. She said she would think about that. It'd be nice.
So does Pam Binder still do that?
Is she still around?
Does she still do that for the other
For
counties?
Burley, yeah. She's putting in 55 hours a week. She said she didn't have any time for us. I think HR is busier than what people really think.
Well, it's the only way not to get sued. But they just get sued probably, right? So those are those.
Great.
Think we don't want this one.
So, I'm gonna just gonna probably decide where it's a type name, title. I don't think that'll matter,
I didn't sign that, I typed it. That's printed and then I signed here.
will it? Okay. Oh, a name title down here then. Oh,
I think it takes 2 signatures or maybe, I don't know, but I signed with a signature.
yeah,
wasn't it?
okay, you're right, I'm sorry. It's been a long day, give me a break. Perfect. It's just tea. Good name today.
They're all pretty good.
This one is very good.
What's this?
is it for a township we have to share it? Oh. Okay, yes, they hauled some gravel.
With this crew, with Shabatsky, no.
No, this is a different crew we have come in. Oh, crap, who do you know that gravel at the, he talked to me this morning on that. No, John Alpha, that's from where. He was in this morning, or yesterday, and asked me what fund each to take it up. I can't remember what he said.
Something from E through the road before. I don't know what it is.
Maybe it was great times.
Some kind of equipment.
What house is down there, I said?
We're just, waiting to do Hartman's. When that house shows up in
Here pretty soon too, isn't it?
September, I was told.
Oh, we do it for,
I think Brady Weber's is just about done.
You were down there, so. When you were there, I didn't see you.
Well, we were there for a little bit, and then Rob Hydrick there, we did a septic system for his camper.
Who's the one that's got one right beside Dennis on his lot there, that Dennis, that he was gonna take, there's a camp or something. Do you know?
Oh, I don't know for sure.
say John, who, A and K, Ken's, what do they look like?
Gary Van Beek? It's Gary Van Beek?
Where's he from?
Yeah.
It's from Bismarck, but I
Yes.
think originally, like, his family back here or something like that. I'm not sure who owns them couple there till you get up to,
Okay, they, yeah, 17th
I
Avenue.
think Jake Helsh has one right there, and then after him
They
is
have
Eric
a
Hall.
partition.
Oh, I thought
They're the ones that got the end dumps.
He's
So
got
you got
one
the end
after
dumps,
Eric,
the ones at the end
and
dumps?
he's further down to the east, or the west, I mean, the west.
Yeah, John.
Because Eric's got a camp.
Or no,
Another question.
Eric is west.
What is this
Eric is
white
west,
cat?
so we go
Eric's right
east, then
beside,
it's, yeah.
That's
Eric's right
Intermax.
beside, Chris Tiger.
Yeah, so it goes Brady Weber,
Oh,
Huizinga, Eric Holm. I'm not sure who owns
And
that
then
lot,
the
or
next
two,
guy.
maybe it's not Jake Helsh's, and then it's Robert Hydrick.
So this fabric is.
Then I'm not sure who owns the one or two of the next ones, and then,
Okay,
yeah, then you get
that's
to
what I want to know,
Dennis's.
thanks. Huh,
Doesn't look like Dennis's cabin's coming along.
this is the fabric. It's fabric.
How's he been doing? Have you talked to him much?
Yeah, I thought, yeah, come down every other
He was
day.
doing kind of rough shape there for a while.
The whole, Mary, too. Mary's
You're welcome.
pretty bad now.
Oh.
She's in the hospital, now her rose came home. And Dennis is sick, but Dennis looks the same all the time.
Yeah, usually he must have been looking for us or something, because every time we were down there, and here come home, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's usually hanging in the area or something that needs
Well,
to
he
be
just
right.
doesn't want to hang.
Oh, I suppose.
Yeah, he's always looking to see if somebody's coming and he likes to visit. Who's this A and K Luger Farm?
They're all gravel,
For what?
17th Avenue.
Oh, okay. What were they, the only independent ones, or what?
Evidently, it was shooting.
I wonder if Sherbansky's didn't sub out some more.
Shabatsky must have subbed them. I thought it was with end dumps, but they had side dumps.
Sure, I wonder if that's what Shabansky's would do, like, when they were hauling hay with, what's his name? Greg Van
Do what?
Beek. If you would do that with Greg Van Beek and some of those guys.
Greg Van Beek.
Or,
Umber?
oh, yeah, Umber.
I don't know. He probably has insurance and he can prove insurance. where Homer doesn't have probably umbrella insurance to cover it. I don't know, gotta go through the formality of what Shabinsky wants for them to haul. I'm sure Shabinsky covers his tail when he's got these guys on board.
Well, the only thing about it is like even right now, he probably doesn't want any more. I mean, shoot, I think he brought like 9 trucks or something. I mean, I don't know how many more you can even really have, you know, I mean, that's kind of a lot already. I mean, that's pretty good sized crew, so.
You gotta be pretty organized to have them trucks moving and keep.
Well, and same with the loader guys, and you gotta have blades to be out there spread. I mean, you can probably have too many trucks once you get above, 9 or 10, so. Wouldn't be a bad idea if they were short though, and you could get a couple in to keep 9 or 10,
There were like 6 or 8 of them parked at that motel this morning.
Well, like I said, that one morning I came into DFC when it was raining, and they were all in there waiting. I think Gar must have been driving to the pit to see if they could get in. It was about 7:15 in the morning, and they were all eating breakfast there, and I counted, it was like 8 or 9 trucks, and they were all in there waiting for the call, so they were, because it had rained hard that morning too. I think Hazelton got like 1.20 inches, so they didn't know what it was like in Braddock, so. Well, if everybody's mostly done with the bills, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Who motion?
Almost.
Commissioner Everly makes the motion to adjourn, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.